Good evening, folks. Welcome back to another Monday night live stream. Hope everybody is well. Hope you've all had a fantastic weekend and the previous week. Apologies for having to miss last week, but yes, I am back today. So what a better place to do than start with the chat tonight and see who we have. I think Connor was in earlier on, which is why my comment is at the top saying thanks, mate. Connor was the first one in the chat today, so hello, Connor, if you're here or if you're watching this back in there on the catch up. Peter Nicholas, hello. He says I haven't had a bacon sarnie since Thursday. I had one for breakfast this morning, mate, if I'm honest. Lord Maiden, hello to you, mate. He said I could sing. And he's back again. Nice to see you, Ian. How you doing? Tallmore Greybeard, good evening to you, matey. We've got Tasty Brain Draining as well. Nigel Jones. Marcus the Super Pumpkin Man. Hello to all of you fine fellows. Ortega, hello in the rerun, buddy. Hope you're well. Blizzards is in as well. We've got, as he scrolls down the chat, Peter Kuhlman. We've got Ice Moon in as well. Nice. We can start a civil war in the chat over what colour sauce to go with the chip butty. Only ever red sauce with a chip butty, mate. My God. I'm not a heathen. We've also got down here as well, as he scrolls down, Christian's in. Good evening, Christian, matey. We've got Kodos in as well. Good evening to you. John Estel, evening, sir. He's rejoining the chat after painting some eyes on the Morbeasts. I think that would take me all my concentration as well, mate, to do that. Ted Williams, good evening to you, matey. Hello to Frantic as well. Ed Handley's in. Tyler Peck, greetings from the States. VJ, good morning to you, fella. Colin Wakeland as well. Hello, Colin. How are you doing? We've got Trevor Chadwick in as well, saying afternoon, folks. That's the point where it jumped up my screen there. Michael Cowan doing a bit of hobbying there as well, asking how everybody else's hobbying's going on. We've got James Hanna in as well. Bobby Clark says he spent all day photoing models. That makes a bit of a change from painting all the time, mate, to be fair. Gareth Lewis, hello to you. And never worry about not being around, mate. I'll be here for whenever you feel like you want to come and switch it on. Connor, good evening, mate, again. Joachim, hello to you as well, fella. He said, yes, he's back. We did see each other last week, mate. We played D&D together, but yeah, other folks don't know that. James Orm, nice to see you as well. Hello to Ian. Hello to Nick. Good day to you, fella. Hello, Andrew Fairbanks as well. And Loman says he's just painting up some purple enforcers. Nice. Hello, Anna. Hope you're well. John says I had to respond just saying no to chip butties. John, you can't beat a chip butty, mate. Walter Black, good evening to you. Stu saying happy hobbying as well. Vincent VT, good evening. Jill, hello to you as well. I wasn't expecting you in tonight because you left a note in the Patreon chat, but nice to see you anyway. And as somebody mentioned, you would be missed. Painkiller says, evening, mate. How have I only discovered this channel? Awesome Warcry and Dead Zone content. You are very welcome. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the live streams. Thank you very much for checking out my stuff. Peter said he's a bit late tonight. The reminder didn't work. You mean you don't have an inbuilt kind of like body clock now that just tells you when it's starting? Did last week throw you off? Is that what it was? Vincent said he's starting his first Grimdark Future army using Wargames Atlantic Grognards. It's going to be glorious and probably a very French. I don't think I've seen many kind of like French style armies. It'll be interesting to see what you do, mate. VS said he just finished the Bomb Squig and the Commando. The new kill team is hella nice. I just completely bypassed the new kill team, to be honest. It didn't really interest me all that much. I've not really kind of got involved with the hype and stuff now. I'm aware it obviously released at the weekend, and I walked past the local Games Workshop today and they had sort of plenty of them on the shelves as well, so at least it looks like there was plenty to go around this time anyway, which is good for those folks that want it. Busey said chip butty has to be burger sauce. A little bit of sick just come up my mouth there, mate, thinking about a burger sauce. Oh, Jason saying, hope Ida doesn't clip my area. I was literally just watching it on the news tonight while I was having dinner, and the devastation is unbelievable. Fingers crossed for you too, mate. I've absolutely, my heart goes out to the folks that have been sort of devastated by it, but yeah, hopefully it doesn't. It burns itself out and doesn't do too much more damage. Jill says, gaming session cancelled as the Get trip ended up too stressful for everyone. Oh dear. Well, I hope you're all right. Anyway, that's it. Low says 7 p.m. is blackjack time. Plenty of people come in about 7, to be fair. And Low say if the club's not on Wednesdays. I won't be streaming this Wednesday, so what's today? Monday. I won't be streaming this Wednesday as it happens. I'm going away for a few days with the family. It's been in the diary for a long time. So regardless of what happened last week, it won't be streaming this Wednesday because I'm not at home. So unfortunately, it'll be next Monday again before we have another stream. Walter's saying for sale French battle rifle, never fired, dropped only once. Andrew French is going to surrender before the game starts. Hello, Andrew. Robert Zungson as well. Nice to see you, Rob. Hope you're okay. Marcus is finishing his flash eater courts for Warcry. Peter says I've been on the lookout for a good starter set for a game for around the €50 mark. Been a while since I got something new. Around €50 mark. Ooh, what would I suggest? What a new game? Have you looked at maybe Carnival? There's a nice cheap starter set for that at the moment. Or the vet trip. That was. Marcus says, what the heck is a chip buddy? So, chips in the UK, in England and in the UK, chips are like potato, sort of like chunky fries, basically. They're not chips like as in like potato crisps, as we would call them, crisps. They're kind of like basically fried potato or oven baked potato, but like chunky fries. And then obviously you put them in bread, make a sandwich. A butty is like another name for a sandwich. So basically it's a chip sandwich or a fries sandwich, as you might call it. Koda says, is the situation in the UK really that bad as the news say? Not that I've noticed, mate. I mean, it's like, obviously the numbers are still kind of going up and stuff. Like, we're talking about the COVID stuff, but like hospitalizations are low, the deaths are low. There's no restrictions at the minute. People are generally sort of just going about their business as normal with sort of taking care around other people. So here I am kind of living in it. We're off on holiday this week. I'm going to a theme park. I'm going to Mantic at the weekend to kind of play Armada, which we'll chat about later on. I'm kind of just looking after myself and looking after my family kind of thing, and just kind of trying to get back to some kind of normal. So it depends what the news is saying. I kind of don't watch the news anymore now, to be fair. Let's have a little look here. Paint Killer says, Marcus, a North Yorkshire thing, not a big fan. It's not I wouldn't say it was a North Yorkshire thing. I think it's kind of it's a British thing, really. It's a UK thing. I can't imagine there's any areas around the UK that don't have chip butties. Tony Boovleiden, hello mate. He said he had his first game of Kings of War and absolutely loved it. Perfect army game for me. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it, mate. It definitely has that feel, doesn't it, of a game that is more skirmish. Like you could almost imagine playing it as a skirmish game, but whoops, not my microphone there. You can almost imagine like playing it as a skirmish game, but just with big bases, as opposed to kind of like, it doesn't need to have lots and lots of models, but it just kind of looks cool. But yeah, it's a good game. John Estel says, is Overdrive going to be about €50? Speaking of Overdrive, this came in the post at the back end of last week. And I think this is priced, recommended retail price is £50. But obviously if you shop online and go to your friendly local gaming store, you'll be able to, if you go to Goblin Gaming, for example, you'll be able to get this with 20% off. So yeah, it's this is the retail box. It just arrived. So I've literally opened it up, had a look inside. There's a couple of models that are multi-part, the rest are all one piece. So I've cleaned them all up, I've built the models. And then I intend to paint them at some point. However, this week has been taken up with painting some other stuff. Where else are we up to here? Jez Hunt says, Aliens, another glorious day in the core is about that much cash. I wouldn't necessarily call that a starter box for like a miniatures, but it's a board game as far as I can kind of tell, but I guess it probably falls under the same thing. Martin says, so in Texas we would call it a hash brown in bread. No, it's not a hash brown, mate. We have hash browns as well. It's like chunky fries. So, like how you get fries in McDonald's or whatever, they're just really kind of chunkier versions of that. Yeah, Ice Moon saying the word butty is derived from a buttered bread and is now a colloquial for a sandwich. However, if you're going for a proper chip butty, you've got to have it in a bun, really, as opposed to in bread, I would say. Definitely, like, you need a bit more bread in it. Plenty of carbs, that's what you have. Peter says, Carnival, might as well go Rumble Slam if I go to TT Combat. I think it's less about the company, mate, and just if you're just looking for a starter set type thing, really, that's all. His problem is I want it available pretty locally. In that case, mate, see what's local. I've got no idea where you shop from. Chip Boy's the cornerstone of any diet. I'll die on this hill. I wouldn't disagree with you, mate. Scott, along with how you doing, Scotty? Busey said, if McDonald's have no milkshakes, then that's pretty bad. Do you know what it is? It's kind of like... So that there's some kind of delivery problems at the minute, but it's not like the shops are not empty of food. It's not like we're all starving here. Like, there's certain things that there might be a bit of a shortage of, but... Like, I'm not exactly kind of like, we're not fighting in the supermarkets looking for the last loaf of bread kind of thing. I think it's kind of, it's making good news. It's something to kind of blow things out of proportion. I think, don't get me wrong, there's problems. There's a shortage of drivers, there's a shortage of trucks because of a whole number of different reasons, but it's not exactly like life hasn't ground to a halt or anything like. John says, we didn't really have chip butties in Dorset growing up. Far too posh down south, mate. Dorset might as well be France, to be fair. Vincent says, have you all entered your Kings of War games in the campaign tracker? I've not played any, but I hope everybody else has. Yeah, chip sandwich or chip sangers. Yeah, chip butties. James Bray, good evening, mate. How are you doing? Tyler, where was that one? Tyler said, I wanted to support you by ordering through Goblin, but they won't ship to the States. Yeah, they don't ship to the States, mate. I appreciate the offer of support there. They only ship into the UK, and I think they do a few places in Europe as well. Yeah, they don't ship to the States, unfortunately. Scott says, anyone seen a lot of 40k players are making the move to games like BattleTech, and recently seen a video about Mantic being the new GW. I think there's a lot of talk about it, but I think it's when we say it a lot, I think that gets blown out of proportion. I think basically if you get about 10 people talking about it, it feels like everybody's moving, and I just think it's all off the back of this kind of this boycott thing, which is never really going to go anywhere, let's be honest. Steak fries, yeah, that's probably a good way to call them. We sometimes call them like steak cut chips, but then any chips are kind of like sort of chunky ones here. Painkillers, never heard about in Manchester. I can't believe you never heard of it. Where was I recently? In like pie sandwich things, like having like a pie in a bun was a thing, and I've never heard of that before. I forget where that was now. Chip cob. Let's not get into the conversation about whether it's cobs or buns or baps or stotties or whatever. Michael says, you mean a tea cake? No, tea cakes is something different, mate, yeah. And Vijay says, yes, cobs and cobs. That'll do you, yeah. The world are good. Gian says that I missed Carnival chat. Happy with my starter set. Somebody was asking about a starter set for about €50, and I suggested the Carnival one because I thought it was good value, mate. So that was kind of what I talked about, but we didn't go into it too deep. Radek sends, chip butties sound like a culinary childhood experiment that people forgot to grow out of. Pretty much, mate. I wouldn't disagree with that one. Don't talk about vinegar. Hello, Brian Byrne. How are you doing? Marcus says, I just got one of the best 80s sci-fi movies, The Last Starfighter. The Last Starfighter is a absolute banging film. Where was this one? Andrew says, is there a painting challenge up? There's not at the moment, mate. We're probably overdue one, so we will kick one off soon. John says, my daughter had her first Diet Coke as McDonald's were out of milkshakes. She was bouncing off the walls. I tell you what, mate, I've heard that somewhere before. I think somebody once shared a video of their son having their first kind of like sort of like fizzy drink when they were little, and were literally kind of just running around and just way too much energy. It's unbelievable when you see that kind of effect. Colin says, I agree with Ted, it's a chip cob. James, you might as well be friends. Boys, I booked myself on green stuff sculpting course in a month's time. My skills are that of a toddler with Play-Doh currently. I don't even think I'm that advanced, mate. Just, yeah, the all set. James says, I am actually closer to France than Manchester. There you go, mate. Might as well be France. Hello to Stu as well. Nice to see you in. Peter says, I'm from and still live in the south, and chip butties are a staple food with anyone I know. There you go, mate. Coda says, if someone is into 40k because of the vast lore, BattleTech is the perfect alternative. I kind of get that, but they're completely different games. I'd be surprised if it's like a kind of like a straight crossover. Yeah, accounting tech. That's kind of how I see it, mate, as well. Yeah. Where else are we up to here? Brian Bun, battered bun with curry and chips. Scott and I have had this conversation about curry battered buns that people will not understand what they are, but yeah, I love them ones. You don't even have to have them with chips, just a curry battered bun. And Jill saying, yeah, BattleTech, good luck in getting that stock. I that's the kind of thing that I always think is a bit strange. I've heard a couple of people mention about BattleTech, but it's like, yeah, like as soon as you realise that there's you're not getting like sort of regular games or tournaments in, everybody will just move back. Let's be fair. Kodos says, I guess what you call chips is what we call wedges. No, so we have wedges as well. So wedges are bigger than chips. I think you would call them steak cut chips or steak cut fries, I would imagine. Diet Coke is horrible. I prefer Diet Coke over normal Coke, if I'm honest. I just prefer the taste. But I must admit, if I do have one now, it tends to be like Coke Zero. I never drink like the full fat stuff. I just don't like the taste of it. It's too sugary. Lee Russ, good evening to you, mate. Peter says, looks like Carnival have 2 starter sets, a smaller one and a larger one. Yes, mate, that was why I suggested it, because if you're just wanting something kind of just something to paint and get into, the smaller starter set still has about 8 models or something like that, maybe 10. Comes with a rule book that you can learn to play the game and all your bits of tokens and stuff. If you want to spend a little bit more, there's a bigger starter set which has a nicer rule book in with lots of background lore and stuff, and extra models, like different models and extra ones. Tyler saying, smash the like button, folks. Only a third of us have done so. How many we got in? Yeah, come on. I'm sure we can squeeze a few more likes out, folks. Thank you very much. Blizzard is saying a September 4 painting challenge, perhaps. I'm not really sure what to do next, to be honest. I'll have to give it some thought. I like to try and keep everybody involved, but obviously it tends to be something I'm interested in at the time as well. Paul Howells, good evening, mate. He's saying chip butties for the win. Christian sharing the link there for Patreon as well. Patreon is what helps me to do this full time. I absolutely appreciate all of your support, but I will give you one little tip. If you would like to join the Patreon, don't do it today, because what will happen is you'll join today, it'll take the payment today, and then on the 1st of the month it'll take next month's payment. I can't control that. It's the way that Patreon does their kind of runs. They charge everybody on the 1st of the month, so if you join at any part in that month, they take the first payment, and then the next month they take it out on the 1st. So for all I still get my cut, I would feel very guilty somebody joining with like 1 day of the month left. So if you would like to join and support me on Patreon, please do, but please wait until the 1st of the month. Yeah, Ed says BattleTech died the first time around because FASA couldn't get minis into the UK. Legion is where all the 40k exiles are going around here. It's happening. I'm hearing about it, but if I'm perfectly honest, I think it's such a minority of people. I think a lot of people that are making a song and dance about it are people that have not really bought anything for years, and I just like to get caught up in the drama, if I'm honest. Ted says hobby butterfly. That's me, mate. That makes 2 of us, buddy. Robson, we have some home fries with a bit of onion and Brennan peppers. Wow. Jim says Carnival starter sets have the same factions but different minis. That's right, so you can get both. Mark says I Coke Zero once, it felt like I poured burning gravel into my mouth. We all like different things, just like the games, mate. Lee Burns, good evening, mate. He says, Andy, hope you're doing well. Your vid about trying other games was a reason I've given Hail Caesar a go. Currently painting some Legionaries. Refreshing to try some non-GW stuff finally. It's a funny thing because I've never really been like a Games Workshop like fanatic type thing. I've never been sort of so into their games or so kind of in awe of the background and the lore that I would basically ignore all other games and all other companies that were out there. And so I find it kind of strange that people are discovering almost that there's other games out there, or that they're buying other minis for the first time. I know it's not like kind of, there's nothing weird about it. I just find it strange that people get so kind of absorbed into just one game or just one manufacturer and almost like at the exclusion of all others. So it's good to hear people are kind of sort of spreading their wings a little bit and broadening the horizons. But yeah, I mean, I just want people to find the things they enjoy. And I mean, I'm not even suggesting anybody boycotts GW, to be honest. I mean, if you enjoy it, then what does it matter what you like, sort of what you buy or where you spend your money? It's your hobby. Do you know what I mean? This is not like. It's not like GW are basically kind of like destroying third world countries or something like that. There's a bit of an argument over some IP stuff, which is a load of legal jargon, and they're doing exactly what they should be doing as a business. People might not like it, but it's completely sort of legal, and it's completely kind of sort of it's right in a certain way. So just enjoy your hobby. Spend your money where you want to spend your money. But yeah, there's a lot of companies out there that deserve some attention because they kind of fly under the radar when they're not there. Sort of like they're the big one or big two, if you like. Scott saying Carnival's a great game. I bought both starter sets and a table's worth of terrain. Nice one. Rob saying green peppers. Is that what they are? I've not heard them called. We would just call them green peppers, I suppose. Us heathens. John said I would like this video. There hasn't been enough bacon chat yet though. What time is it now? 20 past. Still plenty of time for more bacon chat, mate. Scott says October. I am not painting oaks, mate, that's for sure. Reggie says just like a baby throwing their toys out the pram. The 40k exiles might do that now, but in 2 minutes they'll want them back. Yeah, I mean, without being so blunt as that, mate, I think most people haven't done anything about boycotting anything or any of the sort. I think some people like to kind of stamp their feet and make a bit of noise. There'll be a few people who've just decided to walk away from it, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not exactly going to dent the coffers of GW, is it? Just as if folks want to use their 40k minis in a game, there's other ones too. Stargrave and one-page rules. I think the problem is because they want to keep buying minis and keep collecting minis. It's not just a case of walking away from the 40k rules, if you like. It's more about sort of like actively not buying GW minis for the future, if you like. I think, but then there you go. Where was that one? Paul Howell says I have a copy of. Oh no, that's jumped way ahead there. I need to go back and find out where that was. It jumped massively down the chat. Where we are. Let me keep going. But there we are. Paul Howells. He says he should make a bacon online love. Ted says, Andy, have you seen the new Doc Ock and Spidey set? I have, mate, and it looks amazing. I'm not sure if I'd buy it because I already have Doc Ock and Spidey from the core set, but I must admit it does look very, very nice. Oh, what's that? Tiny War Games, welcome back. Thank you very much, buddy. Nice to see you in there. Busey says, if you like chip butties, try tortilla bocadillo. I've got no idea what that is, mate. Lee says, loving Legion lately. That's a bit of a tongue twister. Getting so fed up with 40k. I've never really played it to get fed up with it. I mean, I'm never going to really kind of slate it or slag it off or give it a hard time or say it's a bad game or anything like that because I've never played it to really pass any comment on it. But I can imagine anybody that plays any one game for too long would kind of get I mean, imagine playing the same computer game, only one computer game, just playing that forever. Imagine only ever playing music by one band and like never playing any other music. I just think variety is the spice of life, and that's why it's a hobby. That's why it's meant to be fun. If you buy them starter sets that you build the models and you paint them and you never play the game, as long as you've had some enjoyment from what you've spent your money on, what does it really matter? What does it harm? Greg Cherry says Halloween paint challenge for October. I can't believe we're talking about October. I mean, it's September in a couple of days. How fast is this year disappearing? Like, it's my little boy's birthday, like next month, and like in September, and it doesn't seem 2 minutes ago we were saying, oh, it's ages to your birthday, son. You don't have to write a list. It's so your birthday is so far away. It doesn't seem 2 minutes since we were having those conversations. Jill says Ogatober, have a 2,000 point Kings of War army to paint by the 23rd. That'll do it. Ted saying I second the vote for Stargrave. It's a lot of fun. Tasty Brain Drain says maybe a painting challenge that somehow incorporates bacon I should say. Incorporates bacon. Maybe we should be painting little piggies from Malafold in there. Maybe we do the Bayou stuff. The Bayou stuff rather. Sunderland, good evening, mate. How are you doing? Brad P. Battletech is such a different feel of a game than GW stuff. I can imagine that, mate. Hello, by the way, Brad. Which is why I find it a very strange sideways move from 40k if I'm honest. Paul Howells, good evening to you as well. I mean, I've already said hello, I think. Said I like Spectre. I've heard about Spectre, but I must admit I've not played it. Yeah, and Scott's saying Black Powder and Bolt Action he's enjoying as well. There was a comment about Bolt Action, I think I read. Oh, that was where it was. Paul saying Bolt Action is good. I knew I'd seen it somewhere. Mark Halverson, good evening. He said, cheers from Central California. So glad to catch you on an extra day off from work. I'm glad you have an extra day off. I assume a few of you have had a day off today. It's Bank Holiday Monday today, isn't it? When you work for yourself and you do this kind of stuff, the bank holidays almost kind of sort of get missed a little bit. And my wife was off today, but she's off all week because we're going away for a few days this week. So it hasn't really felt like a bank holiday today, if I'm honest. Andy Smith says, right, just to sort this. Chip butty is chips on buttered sliced bread. Chip cob, chips on buttered cob. Easy. How's everyone? That depends, mate. If you have anything inside bread, technically it's a sandwich. Jim's saying there to Lee, what is Legion? Is it GW? It is Star Wars Legion, mate. So it's the Star Wars miniatures game, not the one with the ships, but the one with kind of, with stormtroopers and Luke Skywalker and that kind of stuff. And Scott saying, Carnival Facebook group. He's putting the pictures up. Kodos is saying, if it's about the gameplay, go for Star Wars Legion. If you want 40k like lore, where the game itself is not that important. If you just want lore, you might as well just buy a decent book. Like if, like in that respect, I know there's a lot of people like the 40k lore, and I know there's a lot of people like the 40k game, and there's some people like both, like some kind of sort of Venn diagram of what people enjoy. But if I was literally just buying something to read the lore, it almost doesn't matter whether it's a game or not at that point. I think I'd look into some other kind of novels and stories and stuff. Scott says, I'll post the pictures on the BlackJack group later. Thank you. Ed says, 40k was called Laserburn when I got into Wargaming. Always played games from loads of companies. Laserburn, I've never even heard of it, mate. Walter says, the amount of content out there, YouTube, fan forum, streams for GW product is immense compared to other games. Easy to go all in for that company. I do get that, but I think that's almost kind of a little bit chicken and egg. We talked about this a few weeks ago when I was talking about kind of my stream and supporting other content creators that cover topics that you enjoy. You should let me phrase this a different way before I offend anybody. You should support the content creators that you enjoy, full stop, no matter what. And when I say support, I mean sort of like their videos, share their videos, leave them some nice comments kind of thing if you've enjoyed it. I'm not talking about necessarily financially. However, those that cover the games that are a bit less popular, the ones that are a bit more niche, as I mentioned before, basically those folks are covering it. Basically, they're not getting the views, they're not getting the clicks, like their channels are not growing fast, and those folks like sort of are the ones that eventually give up pretty quickly because basically it's just not worth the time and effort. So if you do see somebody kind of covering those more unusual games, give them a thumbs up and leave them a comment and let them know you enjoy what they're doing. You'd be surprised how on those days where you just think, I've had enough of this, like nobody's watching my videos kind of thing, what am I wasting my time for? It takes me a day to make a video, it takes me a day to edit a video, and then I get like 10 views on it or something like that. You'd be surprised how far a comment goes just to give you that little bit of energy to keep going. So yeah, Lee says, reason for playing GW stuff for me is massively nostalgia based. I still keep buying and playing GW stuff, but it's nice to look at other stuff. For me, like I said before, the nostalgia side isn't there for me. I've never really played them. I didn't play them as a kid, and I got into the hobby by sort of buying GW kit. But as soon as I tried to play the game, I realised it wasn't for me. That was when I kind of discovered what else was out there. So I don't have that nostalgic pull for GW stuff that other people do. Paul says, I have a copy of Laserburn. I've never even heard of it. VG says, yeah, look around. So many great companies and games out there. Try Mantic, Privateer Press, Weird, etc. All doing awesome stuff. There's a glut of people out there doing some brilliant stuff. Sometimes it's just a case of sort of finding it really or being exposed to it. It's been a funny year or a funny couple of years with like not a lot of gaming shows and not being able to get out and demo games and that kind of stuff. And I think GW have really kind of benefited massively from that. They become the default. If people fancy getting into the hobby just because they've been in lockdown and stuff like that, everybody's heard of Warhammer kind of thing, and I think they've benefited from that. I like to hope that as kind of gaming shows and gaming events and conventions start to open again, that those other companies kind of get their chance to put their product out in front of people. Michael says, I'm fancying using Carnival as a gateway drug for the wife. We honeymooned in Venice. I can imagine that would be a very nice little segue there, mate. John says, I've seen Dan Kennedy saying there's strong hints Mantic's next army will be an Orc sub-faction for Kings of War. An Orc sub-faction. The Orcs are old models, mine, so it potentially wouldn't surprise me, but I've not heard anything, mate. Glenn Griffin says, does anyone here sub to Warhammer Plus? I did for a year. I'm enjoying it so far and plan to sell the free manager to cover some of the cost for the year. I guess that's not a bad way to get your money back, mate. It's as I said before, I don't really have that nostalgic feel or interest in the Warhammer stuff, so it's easy for me to not bother subscribing to it. I'm not really into the lore in the background, so yeah. So I've got no idea whether it's good or bad. To be fair, I've not subscribed. Michelson, yeah, I did. He's enjoyed what's there so far. Paul says, I only have the main rules of Laser Burn. Eddie Ha, hello, mate. Says, you're a Rams fan. How did that happen? Hello, Eddie. I feel like I answer this question every couple of weeks because of the Rams helmets. I love NFL. I've loved NFL since I was a kid, kind of when it first was shown on UK TV, and I used to watch it with my uncle, and when we first started watching it, we both picked a team each, and he picked the Washington Redskins, and I picked the LA Rams, as they were back then as well, yeah, before they moved. That it's been my team ever since. I'm kind of one of those folks that once you pick your team, and whether they're good or bad, that's just how it is. So yeah, and NFL is the sport that I watch the most of, and therefore the Rams are my team. Yeah, VG says, do what you enjoy, and when you get bored, put it away. Nothing stops you from coming back in 12 months. Yeah, there is. I think sometimes people feel bad about having stuff sitting on their shelves, and I think people feel bad about having kind of so much unpainted stuff. But at the end of the day, it's yours. You've paid for it. It's still there. It's there anytime you want it. I get a lot of enjoyment from just like looking at stuff, and maybe just getting it off the shelf or flicking through the rule book, or maybe just kind of chilling out and building models or putting a bit of paint on something. I don't have to finish everything. Like, it's a hobby. It's like listening to music, you know. I may just want to skip through and listen to some different bits and pieces, and it's all part of the fun for me. RPD says, I find Fallout Wasteland Warfare much more interesting than 40k. Hello, mate, by the way. I'm not a huge video gamer. I'm obviously completely aware of what it is and stuff, and I've played the Fallout games a little bit, but I've never really gotten into the background of them that deeply. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of stuff out there. There's a lot of games, a lot of miniatures games that have some really, really rich background once you actually start to dig into it. I think what sort of sets the Warhammer stuff apart is the fact it's just been around for so long that it's basically like they've like, if you think about fantasy, had about 25 years of kind of rules and not necessarily rules, but 25 years of kind of background lore written for it. 40k is what, I can't remember how old 40k is now, but that's probably had about 25 years of background written for it now. There's just a lot more of it, but it doesn't make the other games any less rich. It just makes them kind of, they're playing catch up with the physical amount of stuff that there is. Eddie says, we have a day off, but only because a hurricane just ripped through Louisiana. I hope everything is okay, Eddie. I was just watching on the news this evening, I mentioned earlier on, and it's horrendous what's going on over there. I hope everybody's nice and safe. Blizzard saying, always up for more piggies and gremlins. And Paul saying, yeah, Fallout Wasteland Warfare is very... I'll get my teeth in there. Fallout Wasteland Warfare is very narrative, which is nice, yeah. VG says, is a hot dog a sandwich? Let's tackle the big questions. Technically, mate, it is a filling inside a bun. So for me, it's technically a sandwich. However, I tend to think you would put butter on the bread for a sandwich, where I don't think you would butter a hot dog bun. So maybe that's the clause. Would you butter the bread or not? Maybe that's where the clause comes from. Tizzy Brinton says, no holiday today, but one next week for Labour Day. Peter says the new Judge Dredd game looks interesting, but just a little more at €67. I don't think it's that new, mate. I think it's been around for a little while now. Paul saying VG with the real questions there. Let me scroll down a bit. Tyler Peck says, last September a group of us did a painting challenge themed around D&D characters using 3 different painting mediums. I used oil on the actual base and acrylic for the mini and a wash and contrast. That's quite clever, doing something like that. My painting challenges tend to always be around just completing something. Just maybe it's a little bit of a challenge. It's never about who's the best. So that kind of thing sounds pretty cool. Jess Cynical, his Kickstarter of Beowulf, Age of Heroes, through recently, possibly the most beautiful RPG book I've ever seen. Nice one, mate. Where the hell did that go? Just trying. I'll dive in here, I think. James says, I got into Space Marines as a gateway drug, and once you're following their community site and watching YouTube channels, you keep getting deeper and deeper. I never did, mate. I honestly never did. But then I guess I got into it at a time when YouTube wasn't very big. There was no community sites when I started painting stuff, because GW didn't have community sites back then. They basically closed everything down. Ed is completely true in what he says as well. Even if gamers do boycott GW, it won't matter. They're at least at best 30% of GW's customer base. Yeah, I 100% agree with you, mate. Vincent says he's using Reaper bones and character models and stuff. Scott says, have you seen the new champions for God tier? I did see it yesterday, I think it was, mate. I did. I must admit, I've not really been keeping up with it, but yeah, it's nice when I obviously still a member of the kind of God tier groups and stuff and see them when they come out. Christian sharing the link there as well for t-shirt stuff. Feel free to buy those. It doesn't matter what point of the month you buy those ones. So yes, please do check them out. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Is it Yag? SIPCC. I'm not even going to try and see if that's a word or not. It says, hey all, I'm doing night work but can listen away. My 3D printer will be here in a week or less. I'm going to post some models on the Facebook group when I do some printing. Nice one, mate. I'm still enjoying my 3D printing stuff. I'm not really printing models though. It's not really... it was never really my intention to buy a 3D printer for printing models. I know a lot of people do, but I tend to use mine to print sort of like other bits and pieces, bits of terrain and other things. Speaking of which, I have been printing off these, which are dashboards for Kings of War. So I've got one here with basically the cards and stuff in. So when I go to the event at the weekend, I'll have one of these nice little dashboard holders for each of my ships, and it just keeps everything nice and neat, and it means that I can see, you may be able to see there, so you can put where you put like your different abilities. You can put like the letter of the ship. So if you've got two ships the same, you obviously like letter them A, like A and B or whatever. You can put your damage tokens in there. You can put your ship speed in there and stuff like that. So I designed them myself, in like a 3D CAD type thing, and basically printed them out on my 3D printer. So yeah, I'm making one of those for each of my ships, and you might be able to see in the bottom corner there, the bottom left hand corner, I even put a little BlackJack logo in as well. So yeah, so yes, that's the kind of stuff that I've been using the 3D printer for. Print out and see on my shelf over there, print out terrain, printing out sort of scenic bases for my models. That's the kind of stuff that I've been doing. Eddie says you picked the wrong team. I tell you what, mate, I think we're contenders this year. I think we are. RPD says the only GW stuff I buy is the paints. I buy the paints, but if there's any particular models I like, I'll still buy the models and bits and pieces. I've just kind of learned over time that generally the games are not really for me, other than like sort of Warcry and Blitzball. But I'm not really into the kind of the main stuff, if you like. Jill says we've got a mini show due in Falkirk at the end of September, but my way there is public transport, and after taking some last week, it's put me off. Is there? I mean, obviously, I'm saying, is there any other way? Is public transport that bad? I must admit, I've not really kind of been on a train or anything like that. So, Fiji says you have to explain whatever you have in the background every week. Just ask Adam. He has the eyes on the cello case. I always thought that was like a clock or something. Like, it looks like a kitchen clock. Paul says I'm looking forward to Salute personally. We'll see. I think Salute's kind of become a little bit of a... It's a bit of a wasted trip for me personally, because I find that there's not the deals anymore. I don't go home with bargains anymore when I go there. I find there's a lot of Kickstarters there where they just want to show their stuff off but have nothing to sell. And there's too few demo tables, so actually it just ends up being wandering around a big shop and then heading back home again. So it's a bit of a shame, really. Tony says never played 40k. Hello Tony, by the way. Never played 40k AOS or Fantasy Battle, so there's no change for me. Brian says tell me about it. Loved watching the Miami Dolphins for years. Bit like Newcastle, hoping one day might win something. Yeah, the Rams have been a bit like that. We've had a couple of seasons recently where we've reached the Super Bowl. We've kind of gone through a few getting into the playoffs a few years in a row, and I feel like we've kind of, this year with a new quarterback, I feel like we might have a chance. I think we could be a contender this year, but yeah, I mean, for years, we never really won anything, so it's certainly not been glory hunting, that's for sure. Lord Maiden says, if you want the real challenge, you display your unpainted minis and hide the painted ones. I find that's a recipe for disaster. I hide all the unpainted ones and just get them out when I want to use them. Andrew says, if you decide to watch college football, come be a LSU fan. We put the GW fanboys to shame. I've never watched a lot of college football. We don't really get it much over here. It's the same with college basketball as well. We tend not to get a lot of the college stuff on our screens. It tends to obviously be the kind of like the pro leagues. But every time I've been to the States, I've watched quite a bit of college basketball or a bit of college football, depending upon the time of the season. And obviously the standard's really good. I mean, that's where the rookies come from, really. So yeah, I must admit it's quite interesting, the whole college scene and the draft pick and that. We don't have anything like that in the UK. Lord Ben says 40k is like 30 years old, early 90s. Yeah, I think it's kind of sort of moved on a bit now, hasn't it? I don't know how long the background law and stuff's been going for. At what point, like, sort of all the Black Library stuff and things started to become. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly getting on a bit now. Lee said, I have buttered many a hot dog bun, not a euphemism. You've definitely had a sandwich on me in that case. MH777, hello. He says, as an American, we don't butter bread for sandwiches. Really? Is your bread not too dry? I find that strange. Paul says, olive oil works well. I would dip bread in olive oil, but I wouldn't put olive oil on bread. I'd kind of use it as like a kind of, you know, like when you get like tapas food and stuff, and you have a little bit of bread and you kind of sort of dip it into a bowl of olive oil with, you know, yeah, I'd maybe do it that way. Regis is really thinking I should have split this priming up into Monpok and Armada first and then come back to Kings of War. It sounds like you've got a lot on your plate at the minute, mate. Eddie says, I've never liked card games, but I've played several games of FFG's Keyforge and it's incredible. Addicted. Every deck is 100% unique. No deck building that's so tactical and fun. I'm with you on that, mate. I'm not a big fan of sort of deck building card, like collectible card games and stuff. And I bought Keyforge when it first came out and really enjoyed it. It was almost like it gave me that feel of a card game with a deck, but the deck was pre-built. Everybody else's decks were pre-built. Like you kind of, I did a few events where essentially it was like a sealed event. So you'd pay like your £10 to enter the event, and everybody just got like a sealed deck, and that's what you played with for the event. And I found that was like, it might not be the fairest way to do it, but it was definitely more fun that way. Jess says that we think it was 87. Wow, but yeah, it was a very different game back then. Peter says the Judge Dredd starter is pretty new, I believe. It's the Strontium Dog starter that's been out for a while. No, I think that the Judge Dredd one's been out quite a while as well. I mean, not as long as the Strontium Dog one. It's certainly been out over here for quite some time. I know when I went to visit Warlord Games in 2019, they were painting up the models for the photographs at the time. So it's certainly been, I would say it's probably been over a year at least, if not sort of, I think it came out before lockdown. So it'd probably be about 18 months to 2 years old, I would think now. Just said push dash Andy. That ship is well dead. Yeah, it's that one is that I literally just picked up any old tokens just to put them in there. But yeah, it was just to kind of make sure everything fit when I printed them off, just to make sure. Let's have a little look down here as well. Scott saying my 3D printers are not stopped for days, printing terrain for channel and printing 28mm vehicles for bolt action. Yeah, I mean, I've just started to put mine back on again because I want 6 of these dashes. So I've literally just been putting them on, and then when I remember, I kind of come in and take it off and put the next one on. So I kind of, because we're going away on Wednesday morning early, all my ships for Armada have to be painted and all of these dashboards need to be done and everything needs to be packed up by tomorrow evening. So yeah, I don't have quite as much time as everybody else, but that's my own fault. I've left it at the last minute. Yeah, Paul saying salute can be that. I completely agree. I feel like Kickstarter and stuff is a great way to get like sort of new companies kind of up and running and to kind of get them support and make sure it's financially viable to start creating a product. So I agree with Kickstarter for kind of like new companies. Unfortunately, what that's done is it just means when you get to Salute now, it's not very often you see new stuff. It's either been spoiled all over the internet because everybody's kind of sort of been talking about it for ages. Because it used to be stuff where you went to Salute and you saw stuff for the first time, or there was exclusives to buy at Salute and stuff. That's all kind of gone now, and a lot of the tables I saw last time I was there was people basically just trying to show off their the stuff that they were bringing to Kickstarter. There was nothing to buy. It wasn't like they'd kind of made any like samples to give out, or they'd made anything that you could buy on the day. It was more a case of like, oh, like, look at this MDF terrain that we've done. Oh, that's really cool. How much is it? Oh, well, it's coming to Kickstarter in about a month's time. And it's like, all right, well, I'll have a look then, and kind of thing. I get what they're doing. They want people to see it, and they want to build hype for it and stuff. But it doesn't make the show very interesting. Rob saying, yeah, college football, go Ducks. Eddie says college football is far more fun than NFL. The LSU Tigers. Yeah, we just never get to see it, mate. It's not easy to watch. Moose, nice to see you, fella. How you doing? Said he's just dropped the kids off on his way to work. Simon York, good evening to you as well. Yeah, Simon saying end of 2019 is when the new Judge Dredd game released. I knew. My timing was good. I thought that was about right. Duffy Mikowski's good afternoon from Levittown. Go Birds. Ed Hanley saying 40k was 87, yeah. Paul, everyone's LSU fans, aren't they? Everyone's go Tigers. We don't butter bread, we use things like mayo. Wow, mayo. I mean, I think we still put, if we were having like say like a BLT sandwich, we'd still like, so you got like bacon, lettuce, tomato, a bit of mayo in there. We'd probably still put butter on the bread. Mustard on sandwiches as well. Butter bread with Marmite or peanut butter, I suppose. Anyone else really hungry now? We actually had like kind of like a bit of a sort of Mediterranean kind of sort of tea. And me and my wife went out for lunch today, so we just wanted something quite light. So we had some like bread and kind of olive oil and some hummus and some sort of Parma ham and some sun-dried tomatoes and bits and pieces. It was quite a nice like, little tea. But yeah, I don't think I could stomach any more bread this evening. Lord Maidens, I don't butter my sandwiches either. I find it's just extra calories. It's all about the flavour, man. Just cut back somewhere else. It's all about the flavour. I'd rather not cut back calories from flavour. I'd rather just cut back calories from eating less. I'd rather have one sandwich less and put butter in my bread. Otherwise, it just becomes a bit dry. Jess Hunt says, wait till you find out you can have butter and mayo in chip butties. I quite like mayonnaise on chips, mind. I don't know if I'd put it in a chip butty. I think you need a little bit of ketchup in there. Anyway, before, let me see where I'm up to here. So Scott Longworth is chatting there about how much was left. I'm going to try and catch up, and then I've got some stuff to talk about as well. Scott's still kind of interested in Armada. Features in high school. I had an American exchange student friend. He found butter on his peanut butter sandwiches, a revelation. So much so when I caught up with him in 2019, it was one of the first things he mentioned. And Paul saying, yeah, those days were good. Yeah, I know what you mean, mate. Scott saying, I'm just waiting for a Kickstarter from Monolith. Mythic Battles Ragnarok, nice one. VJ says, me equals waiting for Andy versus Lou, the Armada rematch. Do you know what it is? I'm going to this event. This was kind of some of the stuff I'm going to talk about. I'm going to an Armada event on Saturday at Mantic HQ. I know there's a few folks in the chat here who are going as well. And I'm really looking forward to it. Sort of like last week, when I wasn't streaming and stuff, I must admit I was like in that kind of like headspace of like, oh, I'm going to cancel it. I don't really think I can kind of like sort of like face going kind of thing. Just like with everything I had going on at the time. And I kind of just give myself a bit of a kick up the arse and said, you know what it is? It's like it's over a week away. If you pull out now, you'll regret it. So I spent yesterday kind of painting up some of the ships. I've got a little bit more to do tomorrow because I'm waiting for the right size blooming drill bit so I can pin the masts in, because they're never strong enough without pinning them in place. And I can't find the drill bits that I have, so I'm waiting for a drill bit to get delivered. I ordered one on Amazon that was meant to come today. And then it decided that it's been delayed and it's not coming until the 2nd of September now, which is going to be too late. So I'm going to have to go out tomorrow and try and pick one up. But if I can find, let's have a little look here. And if I go to, I remember which one it is, this button. So these are my Empire of Dust ships. I'm busy painting. So as I'm sure you can see there, there's a can you see that? Yeah, you can see the cursor. So where I've got this ship here, I forget what they're called. I've got all the cards are in the house. I've got another one that's mid being painted to go here. This one's got the sails on. These ones, the sails have all been painted, but I need to kind of like drill down into this part here and drill down up into the bottom of the masts and get the sails all mounted. But yeah, so I'm taking Empire of Dust. I'm giving my list away now. You'll all know what my list is. So yeah, I've been painting these up over the weekend as well. So that was what my Sunday consisted of, from about 10 o'clock in the morning till about 5 o'clock last night. was painting these bad boys up. Mantic had sent me some of these kind of acrylic bases to review when the game was first coming out. My honest opinion at the time was I thought they were too expensive, and I didn't like the way they were packaged. Basically, that you end up having to buy multiple packs of them once your fleet starts to grow. Like it was set up to basically do like a starter, a booster, and a large ship. But if you wanted to use different types of ships, you had to buy more packs of them. And I think that personally that they're probably a bit too expensive. So I ended up I ended up not posting the review video because I thought people don't want to hear that I just think something expensive. It's entirely up to people kind of thing whether they want to spend that money or not. So I never did the video for it. However, because I had them lying around and it saved me some time, I decided to put my ships on them. So yeah, I'm not necessarily recommending buying them. I still think they're too expensive, but I didn't buy them, to be fair. They were sent out to me. So so this is my these will be my ships for Saturday's game. I've got my little dashboards all done. I've got my tokens all ready to go and stuff. I've not played a game in months. So I'm almost coming at this from like a new player again now. It's been so long since I've played it. I've certainly never played these yet because I've literally just painted them up to take them with me. But I'm looking forward to it regardless. It's one of those games where I think and certainly with the people that are going, or certainly the people that I know that are going, and the experience level of those folks that are going, I think it's just going to be a lot of fun. I think some people are going to be playing their first games of Armada. So I think it's just going to be a lot of helping each other out, and it's tournament in name only. I think there will be somebody, or there will be some people who are really going there to try and win the event and it'll want to come first. I think the vast majority of folks are just going to play some games and roll some dice, and it's nice to kind of get out and see people again, really. So so this is what I'll be taking on Saturday, and I'm looking forward to it. We're actually, me and my family are away for, like I say, for a few days, so we're actually in sort of the Derby area, like down in Derbyshire. We're going to Alton Towers, so we're having a few days at Alton Towers on Thursday and Friday, and staying overnight, and then I'm basically leaving them while they go to the Alton Towers water park, and I'm driving to Mantic on the Saturday morning. So it's only about an hour's drive from there, so it's not too bad. I don't have to get up too early, have the day at Mantic, and then drive back to the hotel and meet them for evening meal on the night time. So yeah, it's been a nice way to kind of sort of have a little trip with the family, and they're doing something else while I'm off at Mantic playing with toy ships. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So that's my ships there on the air coming on. Christian sharing the link there as well for the merch. Thank you very much, buddy. Where's it? Let me find out what we're doing. John saying college football is all over BT Sport in the UK now. There's some great games. I must admit, I don't subscribe to kind of BT Sport or anything like that. I do subscribe to the NFL sort of, what's it called again? I forget the name now. Basically, the NFL package. So I watch all my games through that. But we don't have any kind of paid for TV. We pay for Netflix. We pay for Amazon Prime as part of our subscription. We pay for Disney. I just find that's so much cheaper to do that kind of stuff for the stuff we really watch than it is to start like paying sort of £70-80 a month for something like for Sky or BT Sport or something. Calories equals tasty points, exactly, mate. Peter saying all his food talk would normally make me feel very hungry, but I've just eaten an apple and plum pie with custard. Ooh, nice, mate. I did have a little bit of cheesecake today, to be fair. Ketchup and mayo isn't that make like prawn sauce? You know, like when you have like a prawn cocktail, isn't like ketchup and mayo what you kind of mix together to make like a rosemary sauce? Raddock says, as far as I know, fat strengthens flavour. Taste buds have more time to work when food is stuck to them with a bit of fat. Butter your sandwiches. Yeah, I would definitely restrict how much I had, but go for max flavour rather than having more food and less flavour. Lisa, nice ships. Annie, thank you very much, mate. Vijay saying, yeah, good to know about pinning and drilling the masts in. You can certainly do them, mate. You can just glue them in place. You don't have to pin them. But I just find that if they get a bit of a knock, that's the first place. They're made of resin. It's the first place that'll come off. So you might as well just pin them in. Because what I tend to find is when I'm moving them around, I pick them up by the sails way more often than I should, really. So yeah, I just prefer to strengthen them a little bit. Peter saying those from Dreadfleet. Jesse, nice boats. Thank you very much. Tony saying they look awesome, thank you. Paul and Robert saying, yeah, for cool looking ships, thank you very much. Jill saying, good looking fleet. Relic says, he's an obvious lame joke. Our Basilean vessel is called Holy Ship. Kodos says, you can buy individual ships for mod now. You can, mate, but you can't buy the bases individually. That was the point where I thought the bases were too expensive. You'd have to pay, I think it's like £30 or something for a, I don't even know, I can't even remember how many. Let me just double check and see how many you get in. Mantic Armada bases. So, let's have a look on they're £25. In fact, if I do this and go to here, they're £25 for these. So you get 11 bases in the pack. And it's obviously you get 2 tiny, 3 small, 3 medium, 2 large, and 1 extra large, which is great. I mean, it's a nice mixture. But if you're going to run, say, 3 large ships, for example, you're going to have to buy a whole new box of £25 to get that 1 extra base. Or if you've got 2 large ships, you're going to have to buy a whole new box to get the extra base. They don't sell the acrylic bases separately, and I get why. I mean, they need to package them up to try and make it cost effective and that kind of stuff, and unfortunately that's just how it is. But what you'll end up doing is, I think if you try and base a whole army on these, or as your army grows, I think you'll end up with loads of bases that you'll never use. You'll certainly probably have too many tiny ones, although with flyers coming out now, maybe you'll need to buy more boxes for the tiny ones. I just think it ends up, I'd rather you could like order the bases you wanted, rather than being a fixed amount inside the box. That's the only thing. So yeah, it's you can buy individual ships, you just can't buy individual bases. Brian says, wish I could go on Saturday, but I'm booked for Magic Weekend for rugby in Newcastle. Oh, at least I'll be away from the town then if it's a busy weekend. Ryan says, I'm watching but working on my Armada ships. All this talk about Armada. Yeah, not long now, mate. You'll be enjoying it as well when you get there. I must admit, I'm going to have to watch a few videos, I think. I'll certainly have my rule book and stuff with me, as I'll need them for the games, but I think that's what I'll be doing, a bit of bedtime reading over the next few days. VG said, I found some 2mm frosted plastic laminate that I can cut with a hobby knife to use instead of buying the acrylic bases or trying to paint the MDF ones. What I did with the original ones, mate, is I got the MDF bases. I then got an image from Google Images of the sea, like top down, and I printed it off, and then I stuck the paper to the top of the MDF and then basically put some kind of PVA over the top just to kind of seal it and stuff. And I did my original ships like that. So all the ones you'll have seen, my dwarf ships or my Basilean ships, they were all done like that. And to be honest, I planned to do these exactly the same way, but it was purely the fact I knew I had those kind of acrylic bases, and I needed to get things done faster. So it was an extra way I could just cut some corners. But yeah, there's definitely some ways to do it. VJ says, I'll have to get a practice game in with Lou, then might as well switch on the camera. I've literally got one night at home, mate. That's tomorrow night, and what I'll be doing tomorrow night is be packing to leave, unfortunately, so I don't have any time to get any practice games in. We go away on Wednesday morning. We'll be leaving like dead early or whatever, and then that's it for the rest of the week. My ships will be packed away tomorrow, and we'll be off to having a few days away. So yeah, and we're going into Mantic, probably pretty cold on Saturday. When it comes to rules wise, Johnson, yeah, meet some nice people, roll some dice, have another poke around at Mantic HQ. Yes, Scott says, is it in the lead belt? Yes, mate, it is. It's down in a place called Bulwell in Nottingham, mate. So it's not a million miles away from GW, to be fair. VG says, Alton Towers, I watched a documentary on YouTube about that place the other day. Yeah, it's I like an amusement park as well, mate. I must admit, I'm big into theme parks and stuff like that. Love roller coasters and all the big scary rides and stuff. And Alton Towers, I would say, is probably the second best in the UK, second best theme park, I would say. I personally prefer Thorpe Park, which is a bit further south. I'm actually taking one of my older lads to Thorpe Park in October for their horror nights. They have, like, if anybody's familiar with sort of Halloween horror nights at Universal Studios in Florida and stuff, around Halloween, Thorpe Park do like a horror nights thing, like a I think they call it. Did they call it Fright Nights? I think it is. I think it's called Fright Nights in Thorpe Park. So yeah, so I've I've booked to take one of my oldest lads there. We're going to get there on the Friday. Is it Friday? We're going to drive down Friday night, stay over in like a Premier Inn or something like that. Get there Saturday morning, have a day in the park. We're then going to do the horror nights, like the Fright Night things, in the park, in the dark, on the Saturday night, and then we're actually sleeping over inside the park. They have like some like cabins inside the park where you can sleep over. So we're actually sleeping over inside this horror park, which is going to be like be shitting myself, and then spend the day the next day in the park again, and then head home. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, mate. I'll just scroll down a little bit here. Game Pass, that's the one, Jill. My mind went blank. I couldn't remember what it was called. She says, loved it when I could afford it. Hopefully be back next season. Yeah, like I say, it makes more sense to me to subscribe to like a few bits and pieces like that than it does to kind of like to pay for, say, Sky Sports and a Sky package and all that kind of stuff. I don't have any kind of terrestrial TV. We never watch it. We only really put the TV on like when the little one goes to bed. It's very, very rare we actually kind of like even put the TV on during the day. So, and when the little one goes to bed, we normally watch like some kind of Netflix series or something like that. The little one might watch kind of Disney Plus on an iPad or something like that. Like watch some cartoons and things. But yeah, we don't really watch a lot of TV. So for me, it makes more sense to kind of pay for the things that I actually watch. John says, I'm a big rugby fan and get BT Sport free with broadband and mobile. So watch a lot of the rugby. Right, mate. Where are we up to here? Busey said he got a good TV package from AliExpress. €15 for a year. So far, so good. From AliExpress. I didn't even know that was a thing, mate. Marcus says, I've always found sauces and other condiments on my food to make it worse. It depends what you're eating. That's what it's all about, mate. Lee Burns says, question for you. Obviously, yours is the best. But any YouTube channels you've come across that have impressed you lately? I'm new to Arbiter Ian, MS Paint and Zope, all of which are great. I'll be completely honest, mate, I don't really watch a lot of hobby YouTube channels. For two reasons, basically. One is when it's my free time and stuff, I kind of want to just... I want to chill and watch something else. I've been watching a lot of motorcycle videos at the minute. I'm considering buying a motorbike. And so I've been watching like researching about that kind of stuff, and so I so if I was to recommend stuff I've been watching recently, it'll all be kind of like motorbike stuff, and I watch obviously like the NFL highlights and bits and pieces and stuff, and some of that chatter on YouTube. But so that's one of the reasons why I don't watch a lot of YouTube hobby stuff. The other side of it is it's so dominated by 40k stuff that I just don't really bother. Like I'm personally not that interested in kind of like sort of like in painting videos so much. It's not something that I really watch myself. And then when it comes to most other hobby videos, it's all Warhammer and 40k stuff. So yeah, so I tend not to watch a lot of hobby stuff. I also don't want to be influenced by what they're doing, because I'll have a list of stuff in my head that I want to kind of do for videos and subjects and things like that. And what I don't want to do is be influenced by what others are doing, because I want it to be my opinion. I want it to be my honest opinion. I don't necessarily want to hear somebody else's opinion that makes me kind of rethink what my thought process is. I'm quite happy to have my thoughts challenged and people to kind of reply to me and tell me what they think. But I like to kind of like, back in the old days, you didn't get to hear what 100 people thought before you kind of said your piece. So I like to just have my own thoughts and not have them influenced in a way of, I don't want it to just end up like everybody talks about the same stuff or everybody kind of discusses things in the same process. I'll sometimes, if I'm researching something, I'll go and watch some channels, but generally I don't watch a lot of hobby YouTube. Marcus says no mustard, ketchup, mayo, or other things. I must admit, I don't. I think it depends what it is, and sometimes it's not necessarily about the flavour, it's about changing the texture of stuff. That's why I would kind of put some kind of condiments and stuff on. Andrew says, LSU, Tennessee, 2010, last drive of the game, down by 4, stopped 5 yards from the end zone, spent 20 seconds to snap the ball back, game over, 13 seconds defended it, score on untimed down to win. God, that's going back in there, what's that, 11 years ago in the game. Yeah, VJ saying printed images stuck on me. I tell you what I'll do at some point. I'll get a photograph, and in fact, I'll even send you the file as well that I printed off, because I've got it saved on my computer. But yeah, I just printed off an image and stuck it on. At the end of the day, it's just, by the time you put the ship on top of the base, there's not actually much of the base to show up. And it looked pretty cool. And actually what I found as well was it almost perfectly matched the mat that I was playing on as well at the time. So yeah, win-win. Tyler says, I'm still waiting on my copy of Kill Team Octorious. Sad thing is I ended up ordering from GW. That's a shame, mate. I mean, that you're still waiting for it, obviously, but I guess with bank holiday today, you're over in the States, so maybe it's not bank holiday. But yeah, like I say, I passed the GW today at the Metro Centre in Gateshead, and there was at least kind of 3 or 4 boxes on the shelves in there that I could kind of see just walking past the shop. So Christian sharing the link there for Goblin Gaming as well. Thank you very much, buddy. VG says, nice, I assume that's the lad's graduation celebration trip. It is, mate. He's the one that's not much of a, he doesn't really like the beer too much, so that's the trip we're having with him, mate. He said, got a water park not far away, but no amusement parks. I'm surprised at me. I think I just assumed with the weather that you guys have, that theme parks and sort of amusement park type stuff would be more popular down under. John says, just imagine you watching your own video on Armada. That's exactly what I will do, mate. Where was it I went last time? I went somewhere to play in an event. What was the game that we were playing? Oh, it was Vanguard, and I watched my own Vanguard videos back to remember how to play, because it had been so long since I'd played the game. So yes, I did watch my own stuff back. Search OTT on AliExpress. It's sold as screen protectors, but you get a link for using IPTV software. So it's a bit dodgy. That, I guess that's what it means. Peter saying, are you interested in bike? Give Missenden Flyer a look. He's very informed. Rides a lot of bikes. I think I already kind of know the bike I want, mate. So I've been researching that particular kind of bike, to be honest. I just want something just for kind of nice little kind of chilled rides. I used to be into sport bikes when I was younger and stuff, but I'm kind of way past the sports bike stuff. I'm probably going to get something a bit more old school now. Peter says, anyone here played the X-Men Insurrection dice game? Never heard of it, mate, if I'm honest, to play it. Scott's in there. Night all, he's back to work after 18 days off. Take care, mate. It was. I watched Dorian's little camping trip video and kind of saw you in the background, mate. I'm glad you had a good time. Peter says, any idea about the style of bike you will choose? Yeah, I'm looking for something. The one I've kind of been looking at has been a mutt motorcycle, which is essentially a kind of like a custom bike. You basically get a lot of sort of Chinese frames and stuff, and Suzuki engines imported into the UK, and then this company called Mutt Motorcycles in Birmingham basically do kind of custom versions of it. So I'm kind of looking at that style, like an old 70s style scrambler type thing. In fact, let me see if I can get a picture of them up and see if I can kind of show you the kind that it is. So motorcycles, and I can kind of show you the style of thing that I'm kind of looking at. So if I go back, so these are these kind of old school kind of some people might call them old man bikes. Yeah, this type of thing. So yeah, I just want it really for getting out and around the doors kind of thing. I'll not be going on long rides on it anywhere. It's more just kind of because we've only got the one car now, it's more for something to kind of get out, enjoy the fresh air. So these are the old school type things. So yeah, I'm kind of torn at the minute. I would say that's probably the one I'm kind of looking at the moment, that style. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at the moment. But we'll see. Let me scroll back a little bit here. Tony says, when it comes to hobby videos, I tend to watch a few Scenics Challenge channels by people who are insanely good to get some tips and tricks. Yeah. Andy Smith says, time for another story. What do you think? Yeah, you never go too bad. So I'll tell you what else I've been doing as well. So what I have been doing in the last week is I've been catching up with some hobby stuff of my own. This is not for videos for the channels, this is for stuff that I'm playing myself. So I have been finishing off painting up my core set from Marvel Crisis Protocol. So these are my Avengers. So basically these 5 models on the right here come in the core set. So we've got Black Widow, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Iron Man and Spider-Man. And then I actually bought the Hulk model separately as well, just because I really liked it. So those were the Avengers side, and then this was the Cabal side, which is led by Red Skull. We've got Ultron there, we've got Doc Ock, we've got Baron Zemo, and then we've got Crossbones as well. So I finally finished my core set, which then meant that gave me license to go and buy some more stuff. So these are all for myself. So yeah, so I treated myself. I've got Ghost Rider, we've got Wolverine and Sabretooth, got Venom to paint now, we've got Bullseye and Daredevil, got Luke Cage and Black Fist, we've got Miles Morales and Ghost Spider there, and then also Doctor Strange and Wong as well. So yeah, so that was my little my kind of treat to myself last week, and I needed some good news, so I ordered myself some extra stuff when I painted my Marvel stuff. And what I also did was a little bit more work. I've been working on making a board for my Marvel game, and again I have been recording this as I go, so I can kind of like show like a step by sort of how-to thing. But this is where I've got to so far. If I get this button, so this is as far as I've got at the minute. Sorry, I should say I got a little bit further than this, but this was the only photograph I'd taken so far. So the way this is that this is obviously 3 foot by 3 foot for Marvel. You can see there's a line across the middle there. I actually cut the wood into 2 parts. So what you've got is it's basically 1.5 foot by 3 foot, and then there's 2 of those pieces. And the reason I did that rather than leaving it in one piece is the fact is you can basically like sort of spin this around, so you can have that long edge in the middle if you want, you can have this long edge along the bottom, you can have that in the middle, you can move this board to the other side, and it kind of just switches up the layout of the board a little bit. And then some of this stuff that I've been 3D printing as well. So this was the Deadpool taco van that I painted on one of the live streams. So this one was is a Marvel piece, and I think is it this shop here, I think, and the cars and stuff come in the Marvel starter set. But I printed off this coffee shop. There's Apollo's coffee shop. I printed off this little kind of sort of food vendor here as well, and I 3D printed off this little subway entrance as well. So this is the kind of stuff that I've been kind of 3D printing stuff myself. It needs a bit more stuff. Probably needs some more cars and bits and pieces around here on the roads, and some more kind of scenery and things. It's a bit bare at the moment, but I just put it all together just to kind of see how it looked. So yeah, I've kind of progressed a little bit further, but this was the last picture that I took. But yeah, I've kind of just been making this myself. So I found it really hard to get my hands on a Marvel Crisis Protocol mat. All the official ones I haven't been in stock for forever, and I couldn't really find any I like the look of. So I decided to kind of make my own, and this is where I've been up to. So that's what I've been kind of working on the last week or so. Where are we up to here? Brian says, any suggestions for stone files for World War II buildings? I'm using a resin printer, Elegoo Mars plate. Any stone STL files? Stone for the buildings? I don't really know, mate. I would guess probably just try looking on like things like Thingiverse and stuff. You might get some stuff. Andrew says, you're buying a bike. Do you make that much as a YouTuber? No, mate, I don't. I have a wife who has a full-time job. That's why I'll be buying a bike. And I also kind of I saved up a lot of money to get me through sort of the first year or so of doing this on YouTube in case it didn't work out. So I needed a fallback basically, but I managed to I do make the bare minimum that I need to survive kind of thing, but I've been making that pretty much since the start. So yeah, so that money I saved up as a backup is still there. I'm all right. Vijay says, yeah, it'd be interesting to see the production run volumes for Kill Team Bites GW. It'll be a funny one, mate, because my understanding is they're almost going to kind of like keep releasing these kind of boxes. So I can't imagine they want them hanging around the shelves too long. Michael Cowan says, Cafe Racer style, kind of, mate. Yeah, a little bit like that. Just kind of like an older style, because I'm kind of getting old. Rob says, is it just a general chat tonight? A little bit, mate. I've kind of just been talking about some stuff I've been up to. But yeah, just having a bit of a ramble, mate. Yeah, Ed saying cafe race is sweet. Yeah, I mean, I'm literally, I'm looking at like a 250cc engine. I'm not kind of like, I don't need to go hurtling down motorways. I'm not trying to kill myself on the thing. I kind of want to just potter around and just kind of go for I'd quite happily just go for a ride down to the beach, sit and have a cup of coffee, have a little kind of ride along the seafront, maybe go up into the countryside a little bit on a Sunday afternoon. I'm not looking to kind of like hurtle around like a hooligan. Marcus says, yeah, all my foam latex and other monster making stuff went bad over the last year, so I'm out over about $500 to replace it. Wow. At least my prop making tools and materials are still fine. Yeah. Peter says, actually, those are cool. If I could have a similar as a second bite to my Street 3. Yeah, it just, like I say, just... I like that old style. It's basically kind of... There's not much can go wrong with them. They're kind of like sort of two-stroke... sort of 250 like bulletproof old style engines. So yeah, I just kind of, I think I just need something to kind of again have as a bit of a hobby outside of what I'm doing all day every day really. Marcus says, the man that Hulk still looks badass. Yeah, I must admit I quite like it, mate. Yes, it is my Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff, mate. Yes, that's what I've been painting on it. Yeah. Thanks, VG. I'm really happy with how the Hulk turned out. I was literally just, I think it was just, I got into a bit of a groove one night when I was painting it, and all I was doing was keep kind of like adding a little bit of yellow to the green, adding a bit of a different shade of green, mixing it up, and then just kind of like sort of layering it on a little bit at a time, like almost glazing it up. And it was just because I knew I didn't ever have to kind of find that colour green again. So as long as I kind of just, as long as it was a little bit lighter and it kind of complemented the one below, I just kind of kept going with it. So Andrew says, thought on a new Spider-Man trailer. Cannot wait, mate. Looks fantastic. They are. Tony said, I like these, Andy. Thank you very much, mate. Michael says, had bacon Sonny's this morning. Asked the little lad what he wanted, and this was his response. We've been away last week, and I'm pretty sure we had bacon every day. I do like a bit of bacon, mine, I must admit, mate. Michael saying, Marvel stuff looks cool. Yeah, it is cool, mate. It's not cheap, I'll be perfectly honest. It's one of the more expensive miniatures games that's out there. Technically, you don't need a lot to play, so you can kind of buy enough to have a faction and then just stop at that. But to be honest, because I'm playing as my hobby stuff, if you like, I'm painting it as my hobby stuff. I'm more just kind of doing it to collect it and things like that as well. So, Robert's saying Ghost Rider's an awesome mini. Yeah, he is, mate. He is. Peter said, I can't look at the Marvel stuff. I've already spent my allocation this year. Yeah. Marcus says, no Thor. Nah, I don't need Thor yet, mate. Yeah. I'm basically kind of I'm looking at building a Defenders affiliation, and then some of them cross over into the Avengers affiliation as well. So I've kind of picked from those ones really. Thor is more part of the Asgardians faction, so I haven't gone down that route. Vijay says, new Spider-Man looks awesome. Yeah, I think so. Rob says, I assume that Ghost Rider is Johnny and not Danny. It is Johnny Blaze, mate. Yeah. It's highly saying awesome. Peter says, if they did an X-Men starter instead of an Avengers one, I'd be all over that. There is rumours that X-Men's coming pretty soon, and it wouldn't surprise me if we see it as another starter set or something like that. But to be honest, I think they'll make more money selling the X-Men separately, I think. So I'd be surprised if we see them in a starter set. Rob says, are you doing a how-to video on the board? Looks similar to the Walking Dead board. Looks really cool, by the way. I am doing a how-to, mate. I might as well film the stuff while I'm making it. It's kind of it's an advanced version of what I did for the Walking Dead video. So things like I've been using like sandpaper for the roads. I'm using like kind of foam board rather than cork, so I can kind of like carve into it and stuff like that. So it's just a bit more of an advanced version, but it's still super simple to do. Peter saying X-Men were his favourite. VJ says, I'm really excited. Oh, where was that one? That was it. VJ says, show my little guy Far From Home, but I think he liked Into the Spider-Verse more. He also loves the Spider Kids series on Netflix. Yeah, my little boy's been watching the Spider Kids version over the weekend as well. I think the more we get to see about the new one, I mean, it is about the Spider-Verse a little bit actually, the new film. So I think once we see a bit more, they obviously don't want to give too much of it away at this stage, but I think it'll be an interesting one, especially for Spider-Man fans. Tyler says, I enjoyed my diorama build of Space Hulk that I posted. I did say that made it look awesome. He's working on another one at the moment and painting a few different things here and there. Tasty Brain Drain says, happy to see the Spider-Man trailer, because not only did they bring back Doc Ock, but they got Alfred Molina to play him again. I think there's a lot of crossover stuff. If I remember right, Jamie Foxx, I forget which character he played now, but he was a bad guy or a villain in one of the Spider-Man films, and I believe he's coming back to kind of reprise his character as well. So yeah, I think they're really going back. They're really pulling the old Spider-Man into kind of like the newer Marvel Cinematic Universe canon now as well. Rob says, anytime I hear CC as an engine size, I think of Super Mario Kart on the SNES. Rygot says, remember to wear your helmet. It is the law, mate. We have to wear a helmet in the UK. We don't have a choice. Not that I wouldn't wear one, but yeah, you do have to wear one. Vijay, I'm really excited to play Marvel Crisis Protocol with these Marvel United minis. Yep, of course, that should be with him in a week. Now, what to do with the minis? Just paint them, mate. Just paint them, you'll enjoy it. Michael says, trying to convince my wife I can have a motorbike. She thinks I want some MotoGP crotch rocket, but I just want something comfy to ride out for coffee that won't cost a fortune. That's exactly what I'm doing, mate. I used to ride sport bikes and stuff. Like, I started off when I had a Yamaha FZR 400RR, like a little kind of imported Japanese sort of sports bike. I then moved up to a Yamaha R6, and then basically I kind of the twins were born. My ex-wife didn't want me riding kind of like sort of fast motorbikes flying around, obviously when I had kids at home and stuff like that. So I kind of sold my bike and I just kind of drifted away, and I got out of it over the years. Got to a point where I couldn't really afford to have a bike and a car and stuff. Didn't have anywhere to store one anywhere. Where now these days, obviously I'm a bit older and a bit wiser. I don't get the fun from kind of racing around anymore. I'd rather just look cool and kind of, I'd quite happy, like I said before, just ride down to the coast, sit outside a coffee shop, kind of just sit and have a cup of coffee and like kind of like look at the bike. I think it's more about sort of feeling like I'm Steve McQueen these days as opposed to Valentino Rossi. So yeah, that's why I've kind of gone for a smaller engine really. If I do buy one, mate, that's why I'm kind of doing that rather than buying like a 1000cc Harley or something stupid like that. Not that I can really afford that either, but that's another reason why I'm keeping it down. Jill says, right, gotta go. Been a long night with the cats. Nice to see you back, mate, and thanks as always. Thank you very much. Speaking of kind of the stream and stuff and missing last week and things, I don't really kind of want to go into great details about why I missed last week, but I've got, how can I put this in a simple term? I've got some kind of hospital tests that I need to get done and stuff. And it's going to disrupt the live streams a little bit over the coming weeks. There's one day where I have to kind of go into hospital on the Tuesday morning, and I have to do some kind of procedure stuff before it on the Monday, so I won't be able to stream on the Monday and stuff. So I've kind of got, it's going to be a little bit broken up over the next few weeks, but I'll give you plenty of notice when we're going to kind of miss one and stuff like that. But so yeah, kind of bear with me. But I'll give you notice of the streams I have to miss, and I'll try my best to kind of try and do some videos in advance or something like that, and make sure that we don't go sort of too long between videos and things. But yeah, I've just got a bit of stuff going on at the moment that's going to kind of disrupt a few things, and then hopefully we'll just get back to normal again after that one. So I appreciate you kind of sticking with it a little bit. Michael saying custom bikes are much more my thing these days. Yeah, lusted after an R1 when I was a kid. Yeah, I wanted an R1, couldn't afford an R1, and knew it would be far too fast for me. So I ended up with an R6 at a time. Sort of 600cc sort of sports bike was what all my friends had. Like whether they had the kind of the Kawasaki Ninjas, whether it was a JSR Suzuki 600s, sort of that kind of stuff. Everybody had those things when I was a bit younger. These days that just does not interest me in the slightest. Rob says, if I didn't have the hundreds of HeroClix figures, I might have given Marvel a bit more of a chance. It's a fantastic game, mate. Like I say, the miniatures are not that cheap, but then you don't need a lot of them. But they're really nice to build and paint, and for me, it's my hobby. There's a good local scene. There's loads of events going. My friends are kind of traveling all over the country at the minute, like doing events on weekends and things. And I know once things settle down and my little one gets back to school and stuff, I'll get a bit more time to start playing again soon. And it's nice to see there's a good local scene for it now. Duffy says, does the Marvel game require following the box art for the pieces? No, just paint them any colour you want, mate. I just followed the kind of the box art type thing because that was what I wanted to do, but there's no hard and fast rules, mate. You can colour them anytime you want, any colour you want, mate. Marcus says, name for Andy's motorbike is the Bacon Maker. VJ says, speaking of Ghost Rider, I really want to do an orc version of Ghost Rider as my war boss for my 40k Speed Freaks army. I'll have a look, mate. I think I've got some of the old Assault on Blackreach orc bikers. If I can find them, mate, I will send them to you. RPD says Wolverine is my favourite character. I'm looking forward to when the X-Men stuff comes along. Gambit's probably one of my favourite characters, so I'm looking forward to seeing him in that world. Ed says cost per unit for Marvel Crisis Protocol is great. Cost per mini, not so much. Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. I would agree with that. Where are we up to here? Let me scroll up a bit. Tony said, do you like the Ghost Rider and the Mysterio minis? If I ever bought, they'd be the two I bought. I've obviously been buying in with a certain faction type thing, or affiliation as they're called in Marvel, just so that I've got some kind of like playable stuff. But you can mix and match anything you want, really. It's just you either become affiliated or non-affiliated. I kind of started by buying some affiliated ones, and then I'll just buy the ones I like and kind of mix them in and stuff. So that's kind of how I'm going with it, really. Electro, that's who he played. Yeah, I couldn't remember the name. Electro is rumoured to be back. I think Jamie Foxx is supposed to be coming back and playing the character again. Ed saying X-Men are pretty much all released now, just the Professor and Colossus to come. Yeah, there's the kind of expand, like I say, people like Gambit and stuff like that, kind of the expanded kind of X-Men universe and stuff. Let me scroll down a bit. Peter says, just looked at Motorcycle's website, similar to CCM but a bit smaller and less expensive. On screen they look very well made. Yeah, like I say, mate, I've been doing loads of research, watching the reviews, kind of I've joined the kind of the owners club on Facebook so I can kind of see what real people who own the bike and paid for the bike kind of thing, what they think about it and stuff. Second hand, they seem to kind of hold their price pretty well. So yeah, I'm kind of exploring the idea of it at the moment, mate. My wife's sort of kind of like, she's not against it. She's quite keen. Obviously, I've got the studio here as well. I've got space there where I can kind of park my bike somewhere safe as well, so it's not kind of left outside or anything like that. In the past, before we moved to this house, I've never had like a garage or anywhere I could store a motorbike. So that's kind of part of the reason why for years I just never even kind of went down that road, really. But yeah, because we haven't got two cars now, because I don't need a car for the job that I do. But what does happen sometimes is if my wife's away with work or anything like that, then I don't have a car at home, and I'm basically just the idea. I almost was going to just buy a scooter or something like that, just to kind of get around the doors, whether it be to go kind of like go to the shop and get some bits and pieces, or just to get out for the day if I was on my own while the little one's at school or something, or on a weekend if she's out with the little one, kind of with the family or whatever. It just means I'm not kind of limited to just sort of taxis or public transport kind of thing. John says, any chance of carrying an army on that bike? I had been looking at sort of like saddlebags and stuff like that, kind of like not big panniers as such, but I reckon I could get it in a rucksack. You know, the not Army Painter ones. Who is it who does the rucksacks? It is Kia Multicase do rucksacks, don't they? Where you can fit them. You can fit their pluck foam cardboard cases in the back. So yeah, there's always that, isn't there? VJ says Mysterio is a favourite Spider-Man villain, so I really enjoyed Far From Home, although I thought they could have gotten a better actor than Jake Gyllenhaal. I'm not familiar with Mysterio from the comic books to know whether Jake Gyllenhaal did a good job of it or not. I thought he played it quite well, as in like it's like he doesn't really have any powers as such. It's all kind of computer trickery type thing. So I thought he played it really well, but I've got no idea how close it was to kind of like the original concept stuff. Sunday Sykes, I've got a Triumph Speedmaster. I just like going for a cruise down the back roads and having some nice lunch somewhere. I think that's exactly the kind of thing that I'm planning to do, mate. I said to my wife basically, like, would she be interested in kind of like riding pillion with me? And she went, yeah, I probably would. She went, I don't want to be kind of like flying down the motorway and stuff, but if we were just kind of going out for like lunch or something, I would have a ride in the back. So that kind of like that then that led me down a path of what kind of, you know, obviously get something that two people can ride kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of what I say, like a nice kind of summer's ride somewhere type thing. Rob saying family and health first, brother. Thank you very much, mate. Jessic's surgical chip butty removal. Yeah, I'm just getting my bacon levels topped up, that's what it is. VJ said I picked up the Marvel United box that has Mysterio in it rather than buy the proper Marvel Crisis Protocol Mysterio release. I love the chibi ones. I must admit, I've not really seen the chibi stuff, mate. Thank you very much, Jez. Edson, your health has to come first. Yeah, there's not much I can do about me. I have to get this sorted. So yeah, I'll give you notice when we're going to miss a few streams and stuff like that. I'm not anticipating I'm not anticipating missing many. But yeah, there's just like kind of like there's some that I can't avoid. Basically, I have to go into hospital on the Tuesday. And I've got some stuff I need to do on the Monday. I'm not going into any details. I've got some stuff I need to do on the Monday prior to going in. So, yeah, I won't be streaming that night, that's for sure. Michael says, my old boss had a Hayabusa. Took me on the back ones. Never again. They are like death rockets, those things. I think they almost killed them off because what happened was with the different Euro standards for the emissions, when they brought in the new emissions for... Is it Euro 4, Euro 5? I think they brought in. Honda decided not to kind of update their bike in the middle of its kind of lifespan, if you like. So they basically just stopped shipping them into Europe until the new one was coming out. By which point they pretty much just killed it off a bit. Thank you very much, everybody, for your kind words. Vijay saying, Mr. Sinister is my favourite ex-villain. I'm keeping this cheery. Mr. Sinister. Where was this one up to? Hello, Steve Smallworld, mate. I hope you're doing well. How's your new live streaming setup coming along? I forgot to send you them settings as well, mate. Remind me on and I'll send you them. Like a bad smell sticking around, says Tony. Lawman says Gambit will get you into debt with his credit cards. Vijay Mysterio and Carnage combo box does look nice though. Yeah, there's some nice stuff, mate. I must admit. I mean, I literally bought the Doctor Strange one. I just really wanted to paint it, to be honest. I really like the model. Let me just try and. I really like the look of the model. It was the same kind of thing with the Ghost Rider one as well. I like the old Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider films. I'm sure we'll probably get a new Ghost Rider at some point coming along. But yeah, I kind of thought I liked them, and then when I saw that they can both kind of fit into the same affiliation, it was like, all right, I'll build some for that one. So I've got Spider-Man and stuff for Web Warriors. So I've got some Web Warriors stuff. I've got some stuff that fits into what's it called again? Fit into Avengers stuff, and then there's also some Defenders stuff as well. Nightcrawler, Rogue and Gambit, yeah. Shadowcat came later. I don't know a lot about Shadowcat. I think I've said this loads of times before. I'm more of a DC kind of comics person rather than Marvel stuff. But the Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff has definitely kind of got me interested more into it. Rob saying, I'm a gamer, not a hobbyist. Clicks being painted and varied of character was a major draw. I don't play anymore, too complicated. That's coming from an Infinity player. Lawman saying Battle Foam do cases too. Did they do rucksack stuff? I don't think I've ever seen any of the Battle Foam rucksack stuff. If I can get something that'll fit on the side, like if I can kind of somehow attach it to the side of a bike or something like that, I'd quite happily kind of like ride about and stuff. But most of the time, if my wife's kind of like at home, she's not going anywhere, I kind of use the car. It's more just to have something more like for just kind of getting me out and about and stuff. I really am, and more for the fun and that type of stuff. It's not really like my main mode of transport, if you like. It's more like an expensive luxury, really. Bliss said, Scooter, aren't you required to wear a turtleneck and a brown suede jacket to ride those? Oh, I'd go with a proper Vespa. I wouldn't go for like one of these like little kind of Japanese looking things. I would go for a Vespa if I was going to get a scooter. And that was when I was looking at the price of Vespas and stuff, and it's like, God, for that price I might as well buy a motorbike. hence why I'm looking at motorbikes. Duffy says, if you roll your minis tight, you can fit more in a saddlebag. Sunday Sykes says, I got a pillion seat so my wife could come for rides. We don't go often, but she does like on a sunny day, providing there's not too much traffic. Yeah, luckily we're not too far away from the seafront and stuff. And then if it's a nice day and stuff, then obviously it'll be a nice little potter along the front and things. And then obviously it all depends as well upon what my son's doing. So if we can get a babysitter or something like that, we might head out. Or if he's at school, like during the day, my wife's got a day off, it'd be nice just to go out for a little ride somewhere or something. Rob says, did you get the new Crimson Stone Code 1 set? I didn't, mate. No, I didn't get it. Busey saying, I need to get my Vespino back on the road. It's ideal for trips to the beach, even though it's only 50cc. I think it's just it's one of those things, mate, where it doesn't need to be a big engine as long as it just kind of gets you around. James is saying Gambit was always my favourite. Yeah, Gambit was my favourite. I remember watching some of the X-Men cartoon. I didn't watch a lot of it, but Gambit is the one that kind of sticks in my mind. It's from 86, so pretty old. Nothing wrong with an old scooter, mate. Vijay says, wasn't there a Ghost Rider TV series, or am I getting confused? I think he was in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series, but I'm not sure if there was ever a TV series of Ghost Rider. I definitely remember obviously the Nick Cage films. Where are we up to here? Duffy saying, I don't see any Fantastic Four pieces. I think they're coming, mate. They've not been announced yet, but it can only be a matter of time. Obviously, we've got the new Fantastic Four film in the works as well, so yeah, I can only imagine it won't be long. Tyler saying, if anyone has a subscription to Bexham's Bazaar, be on the lookout for a Batman miniature game scenario written by yours truly. Bexham's Bazaar. I think I'll kind of watch it. I've not even heard of that, mate. Marcus says, I blame the anime series Fooly Cooly why Vespers become overly expensive. They've always kind of been quite cool over here. I mean, like the kind of like the mods from the 60s and stuff like that, 50s and 60s. Mods and Rockers era, Quadrophenia, that kind of stuff, if you're familiar with that. So they've always had a bit of a kind of like a coolness about them in the UK. I don't know what it's like kind of elsewhere around the world. It's less about the kind of like the Italian flair, if you like, and more just about that kind of young sort of the coolness of, obviously couldn't afford cars, so scooters were the alternative kind of thing. And then you had like the rockers, if you like, with the leather jackets and their motorbikes, where the kind of like the mods were all about like the music and stuff and the fashion of the day. And I think it's very kind of stereotypically British, I think. Vijay says, little guy down at the grandparents this week. Wife and I are loving some time off. It's quite nice, mate, isn't it? My little one today went to a farm with his grandparents today, so we popped out for a bit of lunch today, and it's quite nice. Even just a few hours is like, it makes all the difference. You're having some time together. Yeah, Jez is saying on the beach in Brighton for a fight. 100%. That was back in those days, wasn't it? Tony said, I'll be all over Ben Grimm just to paint. There's some cool stuff coming for Marvel at the minute. I like the way they kind of they're keeping up the pace with stuff, so that there's always something kind of new coming out for it, but you don't feel the need that you have to have the latest stuff, which is what I think I quite like about it. I mean, the way this stuff comes in these boxes, I've taken the cellophane off one of them here, so what you basically get is you get like a little plastic packet which has some tokens in there. It has your stat card, and it has some kind of this is kind of, I forget what they're called, but basically like kind of like power up type card things. Let me just take it out of the packet here. So yeah, some little some tokens for different bits and pieces that he has with him. You get his cards, so he's kind of his healthy side, and then his damaged side, and then you get these. Basically, there is like a crisis card, which is how you choose your missions and stuff, and then there's a few of these kind of like abilities cards or things that you won't be able to read them from here, but you get a couple of those. You get a nice little instruction booklet, which basically just shows you how to put everything together, so that's nice as well. None of this online only stuff. And then you also get your packet with your hard plastic sprue and stuff in it, and your big base. and all of the models basically come with that. So like, for example, so in here there's Ghost Spider, there's the Miles Morales Spider-Man, there's a couple of bases, there's a couple of character stat cards, there's team tactic cards, there's a crisis card, there's an affiliation card, and then there's tokens as well. So for all, they are a little bit more expensive than some other games. They do come with a bit of cardboard as well. But yeah, I mean, I can imagine the licensing from Marvel isn't particularly cheap. I'm sure that also feeds into what the prices is. Where are we up to? Vijay said, I woke up when I wanted to yesterday morning. That was a treat. Nice one. Tyler saying, I hope it comes in the September issue. I wrote a scenario hoping it gets published soon. Fingers crossed for you, buddy. I hope it does. Rob saying, maybe the Marvel Crisis Protocol pace and it doing well is why they're not making Armada minis anymore. I think it's I can imagine, mate, that it's probably one of them self-fulfilling prophecy things where basically it wasn't selling particularly well because it was never in stock, so nobody ever bought anything. And I think sometimes they can be their own downfall for that kind of stuff. John saying, like, all looking forward to meeting a few of you guys on Saturday. Yes, I kind of believe, John, we kind of like, we don't live that far away from each other, and through kind of one thing or another, we've never managed to get a game in yet, even though we've promised it many times. And the first time I'm going to see you is down in Nottingham. So yeah, I will see you on Saturday, buddy. How we doing for time? Let's have a look. 10:40. I think we'll stop. We'll keep going for a bit longer. We've still got decent numbers in. We'll go for a little bit longer, and then we'll start to wrap it up in a bit. But so I've kind of been catching up on some of my own personal hobby stuff in the last week, mate. So my office or my studio here is a bit of a shit cart, I don't mind saying. It needs a bloody good tidy up and a bloody good clean. I've moved stuff from the table here back over onto my desk because I was using my desk for kind of I was using it for D&D on Thursday night, and I was kind of I was just sorting through some stuff and things. So yes, it needs a bit of a tidy, shall we say. John said, I'm the guy who looks like a pink out of shape orc. I'll be the guy that looks like a mirror image, mate. You know what I look like now, don't you, of course. Coda says, how is a game that is never in stock because it's sold out, not selling? Because they don't print them, mate. That's the problem. It doesn't sell because there isn't anything to buy. And there isn't anything to buy because they've just... The old kind of Fantasy Flight Asmodee supply issues have been an absolute nightmare. And I think when they're pre-painted, it's not quite as easy as just turning on the tap again. I think there's always been problems with like X-Wing stuff and Armada stuff. And I think it probably comes to a point where actually that they probably look at the balance sheet rather than looking at it from a kind of like an overview of, oh, well, we haven't managed to get them in enough. They'll just go, it doesn't make that much now. We might as well just kind of can it type thing. And I know they're still making stuff for it, but it's certainly always been a bit of a second fiddle to X-Wing, to be fair. Sunday Sykes, I've seen a lot of Marvel Crisis Protocol in my local store, but haven't seen anyone playing it. I'm kind of interested, but don't want to drop the money if I'll be the only one. It's really taken off locally here. There's a massive group of lads playing. I mean, there's people spread over about 3 or 4 different locations in the northeast who are all kind of playing in little separate groups. And basically one of the lads, Lee, if he's ever around the chat or he listens to this, he's doing a really good job of trying to kind of pull together a northeast scene, if you like. And there's starting to be kind of regular events now that are taking place. A lot of the guys are travelling around down to like Nottingham and things like that, down to Birmingham to do other events as well. So there's a real kind of sort of buzz about the game now. And the lads that are playing it, they're all nice lads. They're kind of, some of them are quite sort of competitive players, but they're being really helpful, kind of helping out us newbies. Some of the lads are just playing for a bit of fun and just wanting to paint the models that they like the look of. So I'm sure that's really helping kind of keep my interest high in it as well. But yeah, I just I can't see what it's like everywhere else. The impression I get from being in and around these groups is it's picking up momentum sort of quite a bit dotted around the place, but your mileage may vary, kind of thing. Rob says, how have you been liking D&D? What's your character? So I'll tell you how I've been liking it in a second. My character is a half orc called Agadirk, and he rolls lots of ones. Let's just put it that way. And I'm enjoying it. I mean, more so, we're playing it by Roll20, so we're doing it online because there's a number of us. I mean, we don't even all live in the same country, never mind in the same location. So there's a few of us kind of like dotted about. It's a great way to kind of like hang out with some of the regulars from here and stuff as well, who have kind of like we've managed to get a little kind of D&D group away. Christian, who's been sort of DMing it, has done a fantastic job. For me, I kind of got mixed feelings a little bit in the fact that I'm really enjoying doing the D&D sessions. I'm enjoying the kind of the story and the laughs that we have, and I'm enjoying kind of having that regular meetup, if you like. However, the fact that it's D&D is kind of lost on me a little bit. It could be anything that we're playing, because what Roll20 allows me to do is kind of click a button. So, right, I need to roll initiative. I'll just click that button there. So mentally, I'm not really having to play a game in terms of I don't have to know what I need to do. I don't have to go, all right, so I need to roll this dice and I need to add this dexterity to it, and then it's got a modifier bonus because of this, and it's got, like, Roll20 does all of that for me, because obviously Christian's sort of keeping on top of things in the background as well. So it's kind of weird. So yes, I'm having a really good time. I'm really enjoying the story and the progression, and I'm enjoying playing with the folks that I'm playing with. But the D&D bit is kind of lost on me, really. We literally could be playing any sort of role-playing system. I think the Roll20 app has made it really, really accessible for me, so I don't have to worry about the game side of it. However, I haven't learned the game either, if you like. So if I ever come to play kind of in real life, face-to-face, I think I'd be completely lost. Where are we up to here? Vijay saying, I've been hearing rumours about an Australia-Japan travel bubble next year, so plan to take advantage of that to get over to hit Super Mario World. There's a Super Mario World coming to Florida as well, mate. It's going to a new Universal theme park, so hopefully we can get back over to the States again next year. That would be cool. Lobins says, take care everyone, I need to prepare for Operation and Work Boost. Bodyguard Elias, hello there. Says, I arrived late, didn't get a notification. What Kill Team chat have I missed? Do we like it? We've not talked about Kill Team, mate. I didn't buy it. I wasn't that interested in it when I kind of found out enough information. So yeah, we've not really been talking about it, mate. Where are we up to? Yeah, motorcycle sandwiches, Marvel, and travelling has been the topic. Yeah, Peter says, I'm giving up. Really can't find anything that 100% interests me. I really need to get games back in to get the inspiration flowing. Yeah, of course, man. I mean, just don't start like thinking about what game shall I play. Just see which games interest you, I suppose, or see what are your friends playing. Like, is that, or do you have to get something new? Can you not just get something more for what you've already got? James says, Christian is definitely a good DM, really enjoying the rolling of all the 20s. Helicopter. Yes, you are definitely kind of making the most of that. Rob says, so is it a digital disconnect or an RPG mechanics disconnect? I've never played a role-playing game before, so I'm not familiar with kind of like sort of, so if you take the D&D sort of D20 system, and like, so it's saying, like, so if Christian says to me, like, give me an athletics check, I basically click the button that says athletics, and then it rolls me a number. So on the one side, it makes it really, really super accessible. That basically I don't need to worry about the D&D rules. I can have lots of enjoyment, and I can get into the story, and I can forget about the game mechanics side of it. However, I could never go and play I could never go and play like an RPG in like face to face and have to roll a dice and try and go, well, I'd be constantly like going, oh well, I need to roll this dice, and I need to roll a D20 here, I need to add this to the result, and I need to do that kind of mental maths with it. And actually I think I quite like the fact I don't have to do that, because it actually takes the pressure off. I don't have to worry about it. I just enjoy the story and just have fun with it. So it makes it much more accessible. But like I say, it could be D&D, it could be kind of any other RPG system, really. I don't feel like I've kind of like, it didn't need to be D&D for me. It's just more the fact that Christian's doing a good job of being a DM, and the other like guys in the group are having fun with it as well. So Vijay Vijay says, when it comes to role-playing, system is secondary to enjoyment. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to say, really. I mean, I'm not trying to knock it at all. I just mean, I think, whilst Roll20 has really made it easy for me, and I've never felt out of my depth, which I did before I'd played for the first time, it's also not helped me, like that, where I feel confident to go and play it face-to-face kind of thing. Tizzy Brain Drink says, I feel your pain, I'm always rolling ones. You've no idea how many ones I roll, mate, yeah. ER910, good evening to you, mate. Vijay saying, yeah, it's coming to Universal Epic Universe, that's the one, mate, yeah. So it is a long way off, mate. Rob saying, yeah, it's subjective though. Some people like the tweaking and mathing of their characters. Some just want to talk and roll as little dice as possible. Yeah, I think I'm more the second one. The actual kind of like gaming the mechanics and trying to kind of sort of game the system a little bit by sort of tweaking things doesn't really interest me so much. And Rob saying, yeah, unless you really want to math and optimize your character, you don't need to know. Yeah, it's not a case of I don't really need to know. It's more the fact is I don't know what to do. So if I was to kind of do it face to face, I feel like I'd be kind of slowing everything down, going, so what do I roll there? What do I need to do? Like what do I need to add to that? How do I do this? Where the Roll20 system allows me to not worry about any of that. If I pick up some item that gives me a bonus, it automatically works that out. If I'm doing something with advantage, basically I kind of click a button that says advantage and then click another button and it kind of rolls me 2 dice and chooses the highest one for me. It works out all of the bonuses that my weapons have if they're doing stuff. If I've got like runes attached to my weapons, I click the little button that says, right, that I've activated that rune. It does all that stuff. So it makes it super, super easy to take part. And it means we stay on the story and don't worry about like the mechanics of the game. But yeah, I could never play it face to face. Peter says, still haven't played since lockdown, so it doesn't matter what we play. Honestly, hobby has taken a back seat for me this year. Was hoping something new to sink my teeth into could drag me out of that. Yeah, unfortunately, mate, unless there's nothing that takes your fancy, it's a bit of a tough one. Jess is saying, I bloody hate the maths of RPGs, so when I run them or play them, I try to keep the numbers to a minimum. Yeah, that's the thing. VJ saying there, math hammer bones the shit on me. That's kind of what I thought Dungeons and Dragons was like, and I think it kind of is if you were doing it face to face, and until you understand, well, I need to roll this and add this to it, and become really familiar with it, the Roll20's just kind of wiped all that out. I don't have to worry about that. It works great. Martin says, I'm a 16-year veteran of D&D, so I've found a balance of having good numbers and good role-playing. To me, it's not a game that you win or lose. That's the point where the numbers don't really mean anything to me. Like, I don't want to be like the D&D champion. I don't want to be the best D&D player kind of thing. I just want to have fun with a group of friends kind of thing. I just want to tell a story and have a laugh. So even if my character had all really rubbish stats, it just means that my character is not, like, he's not the strongest, or he's not the cleverest, or he doesn't know the most magic or something. And then you just kind of role play it that way. So for me, the numbers are sort of just not important, and the fact that I don't need to know the mechanics behind, I don't need to know how it all works, is kind of a benefit to me. Let's have a look. What you got, Elias? I used to play D&D when I was at school 40 years ago. Mary Whitehouse was campaigning against it at a time, saying it led children to Satanism. Yeah, I remember all that. I don't remember it from the time, but I remember reading about it. Rob says, so your in-game options that don't break the rules. Got it. Well, if you have a good DM, they can adapt it if you come up with some crazy stuff. Yeah, it's just working on the fly. So if somebody wants to jump from a building kind of thing into the back of a horse or whatever it is, or onto the back of a horse, I should say, not into it, he's basically just doing it on the fly. He's doing all that. Vijay said, yeah, often mechanics can be so obtuse, only the GM really needs to use or know them. What I would say is, though, like so when I click a button and I'm attacking with one of my weapons, it tells me what my number is. But then if I kind of hover over it, it'll tell you, well, you rolled a 15, and then you got this bonus onto it, and then you got this bonus added to it, and then this bonus came to it, and it basically shows you where it all come from. But if I was playing face to face, I'd have to know, well, I need to add all them bonuses to it. It's like it's just one more thing to have to know, which then breaks the kind of the storyline, if you like, for me. Like, it means I'm going, right, hang on, I'm going to make an attack. Right, I roll this dice, and then I'm looking through my character sheet, going, right, so I've rolled 10, and then I need to add this to it, and then I just find that this is just really speeds it up, and it just feels cool. EO910 says, when I run D&D with new players, I tell them which die to roll and how to find the modifiers. I focus more on the adventure. Yeah, so imagine doing that, but not even having to tell them, which modifiers they need, not having to tell them which dice to roll. That's what Roll20 does, and for me, it works perfectly. 20 says, I miss RPGs in a regular group, but real life problems mean I won't be playing anytime soon. There's stuff online though, mate. I think that's not a bad way to do it though, so you don't have to really kind of get out your comfort zone too much. You feel you're on your own at home. I mean, you might have a camera on, you might not have a camera on, but I think it's a great way to kind of break down that first hurdle, if you like. Peter says, maybe I'll get some solo games of Walking Dead in this week. That always gets me going. There you go, mate. That's the way to do it. Rob said, I am the D&D champion. Yeah, it's not a game where there's a winner, as far as I can kind of see. Ice Moon says, I sometimes play GURPS with a GM who needs to use every single rule set available. That can get very mathy way too quickly. And David A saying, you want something like Dungeon World. I don't think I do, mate. I think that's the problem. I think I'm quite happy with what we're doing, because the DM knows Dungeons and Dragons well enough to be able to make up stuff on the fly. And the system we're using online means I don't have to know any of the stuff. I don't need to, like, it's telling me when I level, like, it's telling me that I've leveled up now, or my DM says, right, you've leveled up now. So I click a button and it tells me the options I can have. So I click the options I want, and it all kind of does it for me. I don't have to like raking through players' handbooks and looking to see what I can have, and it just works well. Blizzard says, yeah, always focus on the role player rather than the role player. Yeah. Something like I've been running D&D campaign for nearly a year now, and one thing I was worried about was understanding it all. Turns out D&D is very flexible and can be graded to your liking. Yeah. Rob says, looking to run some Cyberpunk 2020 Red soon. Rob says, my wife just brought me some steak fries. She used the potatoes from her garden. There you go, mate. They're chips. They're proper chips. Jess says, you can win at RPGs. If you have fun, you won. Yeah, that's it. So what I'm trying to get at is the stats, the numbers, whether you hit or miss, is kind of irrelevant. It's they just tell the story. You don't need a kind of I know some people play it where they're almost trying to beat the DM or the GM, or they're trying to kind of game the system to go off, like I found a loophole kind of thing. I know some people play it like that, but I don't find the group that I play with like that. They just want to do cool shit kind of thing. Yeah, James is saying there, yeah, if we ever got to play face to face, I think we'd still use Roll20. Honestly, mate, I think it would work fine if we could just all sit there with a screen there and just go, yeah, I rolled that, yeah, works fine. I think for me, like being able to see the maps on the screen and see where everybody is and moving things around, like Christian's obviously created all the different maps and the worlds and stuff. I think it just kind of adds to it. I'm not sure I'd enjoy it as much playing face to face, if I'm perfectly honest. It's weird. I mean, like I say, like you said there, I think sitting face to face and just like having the screen each and to not have to work it all out, I think would just keep it flowing. And Vijay says, yeah, maths can break the immersion. Yeah. Dave's saying, yeah, makes sense if it ain't broke. Yeah, that's kind of it, mate, really. Corbin Govers, hello mate, says, any chance for more Malifaux content? Been getting started with English Ivan, but there's not nearly enough content out there. I do plan to, mate. Thank you very much for joining the stream. I do plan to do some. Just kind of had a lot on my plate lately, mate, so I've kind of like, it's content stuff's been pushed to the back a little bit while I've been dealing with some real world stuff. But yeah, I do plan to get some more Malifaux content on the go, mate. Thank you very much. Marcus is saying, the only way to win at D&D is being able to pull off a crazy plan that had no chance of working, but it did, and most importantly, live through it. I think you just need to chat to James about that kind of stuff. That is generally what happens every time he has a drink or something, and then decides he comes up with a crazy plan. It works. Peter saying, honestly, if you like it, don't bother about it. Look as if it's an experience you wouldn't have had without that app. Yeah, do you know what it is, Peter? I don't know what your comment was. I must have missed it, mate. You must have retracted something. But I think it's cool getting to play together online like that. Where are we up to? Oh, Yoakum's. I didn't realise you were still in the chat as well. Yeah, Yoakum's another one that's in our group. In fact, I think everybody that's in our D&D group, I think, has been in at some point tonight. So Christian is our DM. We've got Ian, who's Lord Maiden in the chat. He's in there as well. We've got James Bray, who's there in the chat tonight. He's in our group. We've got Peter there as well, Peter Nicholas. We've also got Yoakum as well, who's in our group. And then we've also got Tony Bouvleiden, who was in earlier on as well. So that's our group. I'm frantically thinking, have I missed anybody out? I don't think I have now. I think that is everybody. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, like I see, like Yoakum's in a different country to us. We're all scattered around the UK as well. So obviously James is as far south as you can go, pretty much. Probably me, the most northerly, I think. Pretty sure we haven't got any Scots in the group. Yeah, probably me, the most northerly. So we'd never get to kind of meet up on a regular basis and do it otherwise. James saying, you haven't lived until you've seen a monk backflip out of a bath, run down the corridor and splatter 4 bats in a flurry of blows and not slip on his bathwater. 100%, mate. Marcus says, my only problem with Roll20 is I like rolling really dice, since it's a little more random than a digital dice roller. Yeah, I get that. But for me personally, having never played with rolling dice, I wouldn't say I miss it, if I'm honest. VG saying, yeah, me and some other tabletop minions just wrapped a fantasy roleplay campaign and are starting a Shadowrun campaign. Nice one, mate. Jess is saying, RPG have a real element of failure results in fun. It's like Indiana Jones. Anytime a mistake happens, it just leads to more entertainment. I'd agree with that, mate. It almost doesn't matter whether you succeed or fail. It's how does that affect the story? Like the fact that I'm this kind of half-orc fighter with kind of a big sort of two-handed long sword and a war hammer, and I've got this dragon slayer sword, and 90% of the time I miss every time. Like I miss 90% of the time, but when I do hit, it seems to absolutely sort of like splatter something. It's almost part of his character now, where he's just like he's got the power, but his accuracy is pretty garbage, and like it's very unpredictable whether you're going to manage to do it. Like there was once where, like, obviously, like we were in the middle of this fight, and Yoakum fires a crossbow down a corridor. He rolled so badly it basically hit me right in the back of the neck, and like that's part of the story. People are casting fireballs and like singeing like other players and stuff. It's just part of the fun for me, and it's almost as if like it might as well be flipping a coin for me whether it happens or not. It's almost like the dice roll is not the fun part of it for me. Where are we up to? Yeah, Sunday Sykes saying 30% of D&D games is shit talking and making jokes. Most of us just love an excuse to get out the house and socialise. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we tend to be sitting with a nice little kind of tasty beverage and having a bit of a laugh, and we might even stop halfway through to be talking about some random crap and stuff, and we kind of like at the end of the night, there's a few of us will stay on the call and have a bit of a chat, put the world to rights. It's just quite nice. I don't get the chance to kind of sort of get out and play with local folks, so not because I don't go out anywhere, just because I don't know anybody locally that plays really. So this has been perfect for me. Michael says, nearly had a worse accident than null oil spillage. My light fell over and hit my water pot. Fortunately, nothing more than a slop out. You have been lucky there, mate. Mark saying, I own 14 sets of coloured dice for my different characters. Wow, mate. Yeah, Christian's not in the chat anymore, mate. But yeah, I'll mention it to him. There was somebody else as well. I think it was Kieran. Was asking if there was any spots opening up as well, or do something for a one shot. I've got no idea how far we are away from the kind of the end of this story arc, if you like. But yes, certainly if we get a chance to do a one shot at the end of it, that would be cool. Mate, get a few more involved. Pusey says, what happened to the fighting fantasy game where we nearly won? Weren't we going to continue? I was, mate, but I like to kind of keep those ones, sort of break them apart. Generally they are very underwatched, so they're a proper fan favourite when it comes to the live streams. So yeah, I tend not to do them very often. What was I saying? Right now in Pathfinder, I'm using an Arabian themed Ifrit rogue who rather talk her way out of a fight, but will kick butt when the need arises. If anyone rolls one for attack roll, the rule is always hit another member of the party in the arse. Yeah, exactly, mate. Vincent says, I'm a player in a Call of Cthulhu campaign. I've started prepping a Traveller 2nd Edition campaign. EO910's been playing D&D since he was 10. Remembers the adventures and the crazy things. Yeah, I think that's the whole point, isn't it? Yeah. Ryan said, I think I'm going to call Armada done, at least for now. Might just double check in Better Light tomorrow. Not sure my highlighting has added much. If you're happy with it, mate, then you've done a great cracking job. Sunday says we recorded our last session for one of the boys who had to miss it so we could catch up. Peterson, yeah, took a pirate book from Fighting Fantasy on vacation for the evening. Got killed 5 nights in a row. And Ryan says, I've picked up some of the water effect stuff. Yeah, I'm not bothering with any of that stuff, mate, but it does look cool when it's done. Anyway, I think that is a perfect time to call it to an end to tonight's live stream. So thank you very much, everyone that's been in. Please remember, we don't have a hobby hangout this week. I'm away on holiday for a few days with the family. So no hobby hangout, but I will be back next Monday. And take care, folks. If you're not a member of the Facebook group, please come and join the Facebook group. We tend to have a bit of a catch up on a Saturday, a bit of a sort of a hobby roundup. What's everybody been up to? What have you been working on? It's a nice way to kind of just catch up during the week and see what everyone's kind of got in progress. Have they got any games lined up? That kind of stuff. It's nice to have a chat in there as well. Yeah. So take care, folks. Thanks for coming in tonight. If you haven't liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help. And if you haven't subscribed, if this is your first time here, please click the subscribe button as well. And I will see you next Monday. Thanks again. Thanks for watching my video. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And if you did, why not consider clicking on the suggested video below to see more of the work that I've done. If you'd like to support the long-term sustainability of this channel, why not consider checking out my Patreon, where you can pledge and support from as little as $2 a month, and there is lots of different tiers and bonuses which will give you access to a private Discord server. It will give you free t-shirts, free mugs, a podcast every month, and a number of other things, including getting your name at the end of every video, like these awesome folks who already support me now.